And we are live.
Welcome.
Um, Welcome to Forum. This is going to be a show. This is going to be the second update to the tech talks basically. But I'm going to talk about since Double I's not here, and I got to pretty much to talk about it right now. He's coming in late because he's got an appointment for the most part.
Yeah, he's
Um,
tied up for the time being.
what's up, McTalon the win? But at the but for the most part, it's going to be. I'm going to talk about the video I posted last night, early in the morning. Hola, amigo. I'm going to talk about the video I posted early in the morning last night, and I'm going to talk about just stuff going on, like just like touch on the light stuff that's going on in the manosphere for the most part with the whole entire stuff. My view on it for the most part. I'm going to start with the video that I posted last night by saying it's basically it's basically a video that was very esoteric but very historical in nature. So what a lot of people don't realize about it is they always talk about how somebody's this and somebody's not this and somebody's this and somebody's not this. Um, the problem with that is we got large groups of people who's been doing this for many years who would actually their way of life would argue otherwise for the most part. So what I mean by that is good example, the Mesquite people. The Mesquite people basically, I guess you can say in a way roundabout way they're married to the treaty. And if you know anything about and if you know anything about treaties and marriage and treaties have very much so everything in common. The problem with that is the problem with it is like what people forget to realize that marriage all started off on treaties and binding two families together or bringing two businesses together or bringing two realms as what we refer to it, or like two countries together for the most part. if if
Kind
your
of like
son
an
marries my
agreement.
daughter if your son marries my daughter, we can have a treaty, and we can be two countries, we can be one country, we can be two countries one, as one basically, and we can always help each
Right.
other in wars
Right.
and conflicts for the most part. Then you
And
got
now
other
people
ones.
use relationships to like rebel against their parents and like
Oh
say,
yeah,
I
definitely.
don't know, to listen to what you say, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's the sad
Yeah.
part about it. And like treaties are basically the same. Well, marriage pretty much was a treaty back in the day. And I actually have another video actually popping up pretty much. The Cartel Princess should be dropping it at like midnight, 11 o'clock Costa Rican time about marriages and how I pretty much explain marriages and the whole entire treaty thing. When you sign a peace treaty or a treaty with a group of people, for the most part, it's the same. It's one and the same thing for the most part.
Yeah.
The
No,
agreement
pretty
is
much.
basically the agreement is no matter how you want to cut it and talk about it. And to actually answer lonely underscore in the comment section, dude, these videos been planned for at least what, like 4, 5, 6 months. So whatever you're going to respond to, I already got videos coming out that's pretty much going to rebut that either way. It doesn't really matter because I'm already. It's just like this is pretty much go. You're trying to play checkers on a go board for the most part. So you rebutting stuff is pretty much null and void. But you can if you want to. But just know that the next 7 videos that's coming out are basically going to be on this topic either way. So it's going to be totally pointless. Um, Plus, I don't upload the videos. The Cartel Princess uploads the videos, and they're still coming no matter what. But yeah, so and the thing about it is like when I was talking about the Mesquite people and I was talking about modern day MGTOWs, the Mesquite people are still around to this day. They still exist. And before somebody run off at the mouth, well, how are you talking about this group of people? Well, the Mesquite people are actually a branch of the Maroons. Hate to break it to you. So I can talk about these people.
You got blood ties.
Yeah.
Yep.
So and the thing about it that people don't realize about the Mesquite people is like, yes, they do procreate so they can actually fulfill the treaty, so they won't lose their land. For the most part, in this case, to equate it to the MGTOWs who were married, had children, it's basically the same fucking thing. They basically signed a contract with the government this time. Well, before it was pretty much the government before, and they were promised this stuff, but unfortunately, like American history goes, we promise you this, now we take it away. Hence the term where the term Indian giver actually came from. It
Well,
was
they
pretty much the
basically
U.S.
put,
government.
yeah,
It's pretty much the U.S. government giving the
they put
Indians
half the
this,
shit on the
but
woman
then
and
taking the
everything.
shit away because they changed their mind, or they wanted it back, or they found some type of resource, or it impeded a railroad for some odd reason.
Essentially,
So
yeah,
that's
yes.
essentially what
Mhm.
the MGTOW men of today actually faced. That equates it to the Maroons, Mesquite, and all those other people for the most part. Um, it is what it is.
Basically
So
slavery.
yeah, so it's a nice way to manipulate people into doing what you want them to do, but not really thinking to plan out. Like a
No,
good
not
example
really.
of that is
Just kind of going
The
balls
Mesquite people
deep.
and the Maroon people. The British and Spanish was basically expecting them to die off and then reclaiming the land for the most part. Unfortunately, the Maroon people and the Mesquite people were smart enough to reproduce. So
Mesquite
now,
people.
yeah, now it's what they call them Mesquite because they move. Well, generally they move very quickly and they pretty much move around like they call them like mosquitoes for the most part. Like they move very quickly and like their war tactic is basically the same as mosquitoes. Is how
Like
they equate it.
overrun.
Like yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
overrun you. They'll overrun you. They'll hit you. It's more or less like a hit and run version of like guerrilla warfare for the most part.
Interesting.
It was like very quick. It was very quick and very sudden how they pretty much attacked you.
Yeah. Do they have like their own indigenous form of martial arts, or is it more just like their tactics are
It's
like
basically just
are
warfare. They're
indigenous
just skilled in warfare.
warfare?
Like they're 100% a warfare community
Just
for the
like
most part.
combat. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
like yeah,
combat in
one-on-one
general.
combat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, one-on-one combat or guerrilla warfare for the most part. Um, their specialty is tracking and hit and run, and like a almost something along the lines of like a special forces type thing. They don't have very
Hmm.
many, but they're very effective for the most part. The same goes for the Maroons. The Maroons are very good at like head on combat, guerrilla warfare, and you know lying in wait. And to some British historians, they were able to reanimate the dead, which really was like bullshit. Basically, they would basically use the dead bodies for traps and other shit like that for the most part. Or they would play dead. They would play dead, and they would pretty much come up behind you and slit your throat, or come up behind you and kill you for the most part.
Damn.
So they were very specialized in guerrilla warfare. Another group of people who people always overlook, and it was and they basically made the Indian Army who they were those days was the seedy people. Without the seedy people and them not being generals in the Indian Army, the Indian Army would have never reached the heights that they did back in those days for the most part. Because some of their best campaigns and some of their best defenses and some of their best
What
offensives
did the
and
city
defenses.
do that was that had ingenuity behind it?
Well, you also got to take into consideration too. They were actually a war. CD people are basically or pretty much Maroons of the
Are they
Asian diaspora.
African?
Yeah, they're African Maroons of the. They're African of
Oh,
the.
okay.
They're Asian. They're the Asians of. They're the Asian Maroons of. They're pretty much the Asian diaspora of Maroons for the most part, which is actually pretty nice. Um, but they basically had the same skill set, if not a little bit different skill set, and a lot of them were actually like high ranking generals in like African armies and stuff like that. So it wasn't shocking to know to actually
Is
have
it
a
normal
back.
in ancient times to have like generals being contracted from different cultures entirely?
Yeah, that is actually quite possible to do that back in ancient times. But however, though, they wouldn't really be a part of your army. They would just be a separate portion of your army. Whereas the seedy people were actually
Oh, I
in the
see.
army.
Like
They
the
were actually in the
cavalry were
army. They
being
actually had the
replaced
rank.
by
They
like
had
the
the
infantry.
everything, and they pretty much control
Mhm.
a large platoon or a large group of people. Let it be the elephant. the elephants, or like the horseback, let it be infantry, let it be heavy infantry, let it be light infantry, let it be you name it. For the most part, they were in charge of this shit, and that's when the Indian Army was at the height of its power. For the most part, now it's like, who knows what the Indian Army could do? Nobody knows. But yeah, um, it's pretty interesting once you actually start looking at a lot of these people. And like I was saying in the video, Maroons pretty much did what 300 did, despite the fact that it was really 3,000.
Maroon or
Yeah,
maroon culture.
yeah, they pretty much beat the British.
They're like Spartans.
They're
They're like the
basically no,
Spartan version of the Mediterranean. They're like the Spartan version of the Central Asian diaspora.
well, no, the Maroons are basically the Spartan version. To be the Spartan version of the Caribbean. Only they had
Okay.
less. They had
Because
way
the
less
Caribbeans are
people.
the actual like islands.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
Caribbeans
Because
and stuff
yeah,
like that.
okay, yeah.
Caribbeans and like Caribbean coast and Central and South America for the most part. They were pretty much the Maroons of those. Some of them are called Cimarroons, some of them are called Seminoles, some of them are called Maroons for the most part. So it varies spot to spot, but it's all pretty much all one interconnected group of people for the most part that got split up and spread all over the world.
Mhm.
Which is actually pretty cool. Um, let's see what Double I's doing. I think I got a text message from him. No, not yet. He's still in his appointment. Okay. But nonetheless, that's pretty much what that is. So me explaining that in depth is pretty much what make it more understandable. And the sad part about it is what a lot of people don't know about the Mesquite people is like the men actually don't pay child support. They're never really home, and they basically have a bachelor lifestyle, and they basically come back so they can make sure that the treaty is fulfilled for the most part, so their generation could go on and they can own their village for the most part. And I was talking about like the Maroons were like I was saying, my mother's a Maroon. She hasn't been in the village since she was like 15, 13, 15. And me, I'm a Maroon. I haven't been to the village. Well, I haven't stayed in the village since I was about 8 or 9. Um, but I do go back
Oh
and visit
wow.
for funerals and stuff like that, and visit people and stuff like that. And
What did you do when you were in the village? Like when you were super young, like 8 or 9 years old? What was it? What was it to do? Hello, did you hear me?
yeah, I go
Oh,
basically. How to what was I doing? I basically went through training for the most part. Guerrilla warfare training for the most part.
okay. When you were that young.
And the answer lonely underscore, because I see him asking this question. That wasn't the whole entire agreement of the treaty. There was more in the treaty than just that. I just basically broke it down just to because there was more. It was more complex than that, and that has the other stuff has nothing to do with. The other stuff has nothing to do with
How
MGTOW,
they
whereas
beat the
that part
British?
actually does have to do with
Oh,
MGTOW. That's why it's basically. So I only explained that part of the treaty. There's way more to the treaty besides just that. Nice try.
talking about the history. The
Yeah,
history
the
of it.
history. Yeah, nice try.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, I basically went there to pretty much study guerrilla warfare. Like I was saying in one last stream, one of the many things is actually being able run through the cockpits blindfolded for the most part. And if you know anything about the cockpits of Jamaica, which a lot of people don't, and they've hardly any have ever
yeah.
really
What are
been there,
those?
it's smack dab in like it's like pretty much no man's land for the most part. It would make mountain men look like a rural community or like almost city folks for the most part. So like it's like inhospitable terrain. It takes a while to actually get to where you're going, and you can't take a vehicle to get to where you're going for the most part. So
So you
you
have to
got to
like
do it by
rely on
foot.
survival skill to
Yeah, it's
get
like
you from point A to point B.
yeah, you literally got to go by foot for the most part.
But they have like buildings and stuff there, right?
Yeah,
That's
they got
just
buildings when you
dangerous.
get to the top. Yeah,
Yeah,
and they also have
got
schools,
it.
and they have their own schools. They have their own stuff. They have their own entertainment. They have everything up there in the village for the most part. And the sad part
Hmm.
about it is they built all this stuff off their own money. without any help from any of the government for the most part. Um, that's the neat thing about it. But and that's what I love about the Maroon Village in Kungpung. They actually have a high school, they have a middle school, and they have a grade school, and they have teachers that actually teach at these schools, and they actually pay these teachers for the most part. They also have churches. They also have a bunch of houses. They have stores. They have and they basically have a group of people who actually live in the village 24/7 for the most part. They do have people that come back to the village and leave the village, that leave the village to go work. However, they are
I
still
mean, they're as
Maroons.
tightly knit as tightly knit comes.
Oh yeah, they definitely are. And the sad part about that, even the Maroons that don't live in the village know about all the even the Maroons that don't live in the village know about each other that live in the village. Like a good example of that is I'll get an email letting me know that somebody was born for the most part. Every time somebody's born, you get an email. Same goes for the Bree. Same goes for everybody else. You basically know what's going on in each of the villages via the email for the most part. Or your grandma would call and tell you for the most part. Or a family member
Mm.
or an elder would call and tell you that, oh, such and such had a baby, stuff like that. So we keep track of people in
Yeah,
and out of the
yeah.
villages for the most part.
What about when like somebody passes away? Do you guys get an update on that too?
Oh yeah, we definitely do. Like we
Hmm.
probably get better updates than you would in America for the most part. If you're not
Yeah.
talking, like a good example, if somebody's mad at you in your family, and let's just say one of your other family members died, you find out either after the fact or right at the same time when it's damn near too late to actually be able to go find some black outfits so you can actually in the hard bottoms to go to the funeral for the most part. Whereas when
Wow.
somebody dies,
Yeah.
we literally go on what we call death watch for the most part. When somebody's like literally like it'll be equivalent to what's it called? Hip not HIPAA, shit. What's the name of that program? Hospice for the most part. It's pretty much death, we call it death
Hospice.
watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we,
Hmm.
we we pretty much know that this person is going to die for the most part. So
Hmm.
by the time the person
Like they're
actually dies,
gravely ill.
oh
Everyone
yeah,
knows, but yeah.
everybody knows.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. So by the time this person dies, either people are making their way back to the village, or they're making arrangements to go back to the village to actually go to the funeral for the most part.
Yeah.
So
Those
like
are probably get pretty big,
you know
right?
in advance that the person is going to die, and it's not like
Hmm.
hospice where like you don't know if the person's going to die today, tomorrow, or 4 years from now. Because I've seen people on hospice that's been alive,
Tico,
that's
Tico,
been
Tico. You
alive.
said you said that like uh wait, at the funeral, does anybody drink alcohol or none of them drink alcohol?
Not too much, not too
Not too
much,
much.
not
Yeah,
too
because
much. No,
at Filipino funerals, like there's a lot of drinking.
yeah, these ones
There's
it's pretty much meant to be more respectful to the dead for the most part.
mhm.
Now what you do at your back in your own homes, different story. But what you do when during somebody's burials, that's just this. You can't disrespect the burial for the most part.
Right, right.
Um,
No, that's like for real family. That's like just have
yeah.
respect for the dead.
All right, Captain Brandon. But to actually talk about the mesquite to answer what's his name's question about that is um unlike in the United States, if you actually have a child, you don't have to pay child support, nor do you have to pay taxes, nor do you have to pay in the taxes that actually pay for women to you pretty much use them for public assistance. That's the neat thing about mesquite people and Maroons. Maroons don't pay taxes at all.
Yeah,
Um,
so they're like actually free. They don't have to bend to any system or kowtow to a system. It's like they get to choose what they want to do, if they want to leave or if they want to stay. It's up to them as
yeah,
sovereign beings.
for the most part, yeah. They choose,
Yeah.
and like most of the men that stay in the mesquite village are pretty much all elders, or all people who
Right.
work and man the village for the most part, and
Yeah, they're
like
not
make
going to
sure
have
the
some like young
infrastructure stays
person go
safe.
in there.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they do have
they'll let
people
all
that
the
come
young
and
people
go.
go to
They
work.
do have people that come and go every day from those villages for the most part to go out and go for work. And no, Maroons don't do that. That's just the mesquite people that do that. To answer Lonely Underscore's question, um, Mesquite people go back to their villages and actually, make sure their villages are pretty much for their villages. Maroons basically just go out into the world and disperse into the world for the most part, and they go back and visit whenever they want to or wherever they can. Um, no, it's not being a deadbeat dad. It's basically to actually keep the village within the hands of the Mesquite people. You're not a deadbeat dad because somebody's raising them. Your only job is to help procreate, basically, as a man in the Mesquite village.
Yeah, all this like this reverse role reversal with dads needing to be these like people that I guess I guess like go out and like get the bacon and stuff, bring
Yeah,
it
but the
back
sad part
home, and
about
the mom has
the
to
Mesquite,
raise the
the,
kids.
the neat thing about the Mesquite people, the ones who leave the villages for years and weeks and months and decades, they don't have to pay anything back to the village at all. Like I know a couple Mesquite people who actually just work and do their things, and they pretty much live a bachelor lifestyle. And
Yeah.
there
Oh,
are
but they
Mesquite
have kids.
people.
They have but they all have given kids to the Mesquite people that no well the kids don't grow up in the village, right? It's just the elders.
No, the elders aren't stepdads. The elders pretty much help raise the children so they can actually still be masculine. The elders are basically there to keep the boys masculine
Oh,
and keep the girls from turning into girls like they are in the United States, pregnant in 16 or you know,
not
you
so
know,
not abusive, right?
pop
Not
locking and
abusive.
dropping it at the damn club. That's what the
Right.
elders are there for. They're basically there to police the village and keep it respectful. But
Yeah.
yeah. But to go back to what Yam was saying, what were you saying, Yam?
Well, yeah, I was just saying that doesn't sound like to me like something that would be like abusive, just like elders watching over the children, like mentoring them
Yeah, making
while
sure that the boys grow up to actually be
while the
men.
parents.
Because there's a
Yeah.
lot of, and the funny thing about it, what I notice about a lot of the men in the United States, especially a couple of the people that we talk to regularly, especially one in the live stream and chats, is the difference between a Mesquite boy and an American boy is night and day. Their behaviors are night and day. It's just that
Oh yeah.
simple. Um,
Well, yeah, American kid is like going to be repressed and
they're going to be
everything, and not.
repressed, or they're going to
Yeah.
pretty much have a lot of feminine traits, or they're going to act like they're going to do a lot of feminine shit for the most part. If you don't have an actual strong dad in your
Or
household
if
for the
you're
most
raised
part,
by a dad who is raised by
a
a single mother.
mom, you're pretty much going to get a
Yeah.
lot of the traits from his single mom plus him at the same damn
Yeah.
time.
And
Um,
basically, any form of being born where you don't aren't attached to a unique subculture, you're basically left out to dry. In that you're basically in that boat because you don't have anything to like uh to materialize your maturity as a man. You don't have any like genealogy to follow back. Okay, well this is where I get my male genes from, so this is what defines who I am. Like literally, it's nothing that you see on TV.
yeah, and the irony
It's
to it is
nothing
like
that it's nothing that you yeah, it's nothing that
it's
you
nothing
like.
that it's not something that people
You
are
can't
used
watch
to
a
hearing or
YouTube
used to
live
seeing
stream
for the
and learn
most
how to
part.
be a man. Like that's not exactly how any of this works. You have to put in the work to actually be a man.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. And the neat thing about it is like they don't spend a shit ton of time with the elders for the most part because there's a lot of children that still need to go through the elders for the most part. Like mainly the boys spend a larger amount of time with the elders than the girls do, but the girls do spend a decent amount of time with the elders. And they basically go off, and it's almost like how I was saying with the breebree training thing. They basically go off and learn different things and different aspects, basically etiquette class for women, etiquette class for men for the most part is what it is the best way to describe it. They learn other characteristics and traits like tracking and stuff like that also. Um, for the most part, it's like a big community. It's kind of like how they used to
Mm.
say how it takes a village to raise a child.
Mm. Hmm.
That's pretty much that concept. in the
Well,
play
it's just
now.
that like any man who's growing up in a community in a village needs to be like multifaceted. Like you basically have to know how to hunt, but you also need to know how to like build,
Hmm.
know how to carry. You just have to be fit enough to carry like heavy loads and stockpile things and like have a
Yeah,
mind
definitely. You
for
got to
that
learn how
stuff.
to farm. You got to learn how to do all this other great stuff. Fish,
Yeah,
you
fish.
know, hunt, track, all this stuff for the most part.
Mhm.
Um, and that's one thing I can. That's one thing. That's one thing I can say, and I can actually tip my hat to the Mesquite people for the most part because the way they do it is like just crazy. It sounds crazy in logic, but it's fucking genius. Um, and that's the thing that I like about them, and that's the thing that I respect about them for the most part. Um, and the neat thing about it is the thing that I love about the Mesquite people is they actually are true to form and they don't change and they don't they don't assimilate to different cultures or they don't like I mean they assimilate enough so they can actually get work and stuff like that and work and play, but they don't conform to the country that they go to. Stereotypical people in their country for the most part is the best way I could describe it. So we're especially with Maroons, we're very resistant to actually accepting other people's cultures. I mean, we'll fit in with your culture, but we're not going to follow like, oh well, the men are supposed to act like this, and you're not supposed to talk to women like this. Oh hell no, you're talking to a guy that's been kicked off of 7 dating apps for hurting people's feelings. So I got kicked off my 7th one today. I'm very proud of myself. It took a while, but I'm very proud of myself. It took like 4 weeks to actually get kicked off this dating app. But yeah, I think the shortest time was what, a 1 day. Most times it's usually like 2 days,
Yeah,
3 days for me to get kicked off a dating app after hurting people's feelings. But yeah, it is what it is. Um,
I don't know. Like I just tend to stay off those because I don't like not that it's any against anyone. I just stay off of them in general. Not they're really not my thing. And I don't feel like I'm meeting people that I have anything in common with.
yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Like I
The
can't really
fundamental
talk
difference
have
is
this
they
conversation.
see lonely underscore. Them are two totally different communities. Them are two totally different communities. The black community in America, which you come from, which really sucks. Um, if you're raised by a single parent, it was pretty much all done under the guise of your mother.
Yep, basically
There you go. The Mesquite,
all the
this Mesquite
indoctrination
village,
that
the
happens.
Mesquite village on the other hand, it's done for the longevity and the protection of the village. Yours is just done because to as far as your mom's concerned, your dad looked sexy to her, so she wanted him, and he didn't stick around, which really sucks.
I just think
Um,
it's weird. I just think it's weird when you look on the dating apps and they have uh all kinds of requirements. You can't be doing that. You can't. But then if you look at who they match, they literally swipe right immediately on like Chad and then Tyrone,
oh
then
yeah,
they're
for the
just like,
most part, that's pretty much all it
yes,
really
I'll let
is.
you match.
Yeah, and that's the fundamental difference between the Mesquite village and the African Americans of America. They do it for totally different reasons. Those reasons don't even come close to equaling each other for the most part. Like I said, I can't help the fact that your mom picked the wrong person and you became a child of a single mother. I can't help that. It sucks. It happens, but it is what it is. But at the same time, you can't equate how you grew up with with a Mesquite person for the fact that the women at least know that this is going to happen. Your mom had no. She didn't care. She just wanted your dad, and you ended up being a single. You ended up being the product of a single parent for the most part, and it's just true. It's just facts, and it's not a tactic. It's just me being honest with you. There's a fundamental difference. but it is what it is because you're African American, and I know this, and I can actually tell you this for the most part. That's what it is. This is the forum. You're not invited in the forum. Um, but for the most part, what people don't realize is these are two totally different communities. You can't equate two different communities because last I checked, there's no more Black Wall Streets and there's no more, Rosewoods in America for the most part. So you
Well,
can't tell
there's
me it's
yeah.
like the Black community when you don't even have your own
There's
damn
also
school
no
in your
equivalent.
own damn
There's
neighborhood,
also
and they're all
no
being
yeah
closed down and they're not funded by the people and don't nobody
yeah.
care about the schooling and their children for the most part.
And
The
also,
fundamental difference,
there's no miscreant equivalent to the indigenous population in America, and it's not even remotely comparable due to the amount of like government interference and stuff during the progressive era
yeah, for the most part, yeah,
of the indigenous population.
yeah, for the most part, yeah. But
They basically tore them apart, took all the cultural practices that actually benefited the population, and then said basically you have to just like consume junk food and watch American TV until you die, and then basically condemn them all to like not propagating their genes.
yeah, for the most
Because
part, yeah,
you could be Chad or Tyrone or whatever, but if you don't have if your family and your culture and heritage and stuff is not backing you, like the world's hard. It takes a lot to just say that whatever it is, my personality is going to get me through the world. No, it's not. Like no one's going to like you so much that they give everything to you. So you should have
yeah, for the most part,
some sort of support system to fall back on. You can't do everything by yourself. That's not
yeah, for the most part, yeah. And
that's
it's the
not a
sad
smart
part,
mentality to have.
and that's the and it just makes for a different culture and it makes for a different breed of people because at the end of the day, it is what it is. And to answer lonely underscores comment, you don't give a fuck about the black community. They call that self hate, pimp. They call that self hate. That's all they call that is self hate. Um,
What did
but
you
for the most
say?
part, yeah. Unlike you, I actually do care about my community, and we actually do go back to our community, and we actually make sure our community is well taken care of, and we actually make sure we actually have the schools, and we don't have violence in our neighborhoods, and we actually care about our community enough because we lack the violence because we're actually
Violence
smart
in the
enough to know
neighborhood.
that
I could
we're
never
actually
see
smart enough to
violence
know
going
that
down in the midst.
violence
Yeah,
doesn't have a commonplace in our communities for the most part. Unlike the African American community, which it's very commonplace and it's like a regular thing. Matter of fact, they glorify violence. Matter of fact, the thing I always found funny about the African American community is they'll talk about the police brutality
whatever.
or when somebody else kills them, but the fact of the matter is when they actually have somebody actually shooting their own group of people, they don't talk about that shit. When it's black on black violence, it doesn't matter. But when the police does it, it matters. When another white person kills a black person, it matters. But when the black on black violence happens, it doesn't matter. And that's the difference between the
Yeah,
black
yeah,
community.
yeah. Because
But
they bring those problems on themselves when they start shooting people across the street in their own community.
yeah, for the
Like
most part, yeah,
it just doesn't make any sense. That doesn't that they like you never hear about a Filipino person shooting another Filipino person inside their own community. It just doesn't happen.
yeah, it's very rare and it doesn't really happen as
Yeah, it's
often for
very
the most
rare.
part.
It's very rare. Mm-hmm.
And the neat thing about it, and to answer lonely underscores thing, this is the forum. Nobody gets invited to the forum. This isn't table flip, nor is this no awk shit. You basically got to be pretty much got to you got to do this before this actually starts. You actually got to send and you actually got to actually request it before it starts for the most part. So you just can't get up in this one. This is actually very formal. Um,
If I could just maybe chime in on like from a younger perspective, I think that we do try to minimize race because of our trauma and because of kind of like a coping strategy to make the best out of a bad situation. And I think that's a shame that as a community we can't have a very mature dialogue on race and actually get into where people come from, because that to me that's how you relate with the other. that's how you relate with anybody. Is you get in deep. But I think that it's been reduced to just name calling and saying, "Oh, you called me what?" or you asked me what question. I think there was some article or something that was talking about woman says, or if you ask me where I'm from, that's racist.
Oh
You
yeah, they
can't
do
ask
that all
somebody
the
where
time.
you're from. I do that. I get people ask me where I'm from all the time. I tell them straight up. I'm not gonna be like, "Why do you want to know?" Like, what's the reason to ignore race in that context? But to ignore it when it comes to things that don't matter, don't pertain to that, then yeah, it's totally fine to bring it up. A lot of people just get hung up on the whole profiling thing, like, oh, what are you trying to insinuate by wondering where I'm from? You saying I don't fit in here? What's your, well, like, they get kind of emotional, and it's like, dude, it's not that deep. It's not something to get really emotional about.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. And the thing that I've always noticed about stuff like that is you got people and you got certain people and you got people that always do certain things and they always try to like roll under the guise of, well, no, I'm just doing this because I'm just asking, or I'm just doing this because this or that, for the most part, when in fact you're doing it on emotion. You're doing it on pure emotion. And that's the fundamental difference between a lot of people. And my thing with the whole my thing with people, because like they'll tend to say, well, Tico, how come you're getting upset? I'm not getting upset. You're annoying. You're annoying me. And quite frankly, I don't feel like
Yeah,
the
no one
best way to
understands
describe
the
it,
difference
you're
between
annoying
that.
me, and I don't feel like having to talk down to somebody for the most part. Because I look at it like this: if my 6 year old can understand everything I'm saying, then you should be able to understand everything I'm saying. That's exactly how I operate for the most part. So if you can't operate
That's
on
a
the
funny
same
way of
level that
putting
my
it.
6 year old operates, then
Yeah,
I really don't care what you
exactly.
got to say, nor do I really think too much of it. And if you ask a stupid question, you're going to get a stupid answer because I believe in eye for an eye. So it's not me being feisty or upset. It's me being pretty much eye for an eye. If you ask a dumb question, you get a stupid answer. If you say something stupid, you get a stupid response for the most part.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's basically tit for
You
tat
have
for me.
to also consider to take into account like the kind of the level of communication too. There's two different sets usually. It's like high context and low context. And if you look at
Yeah,
America is very low context communication. We
yeah,
want to we want to basically explain everything how we're feeling outward for very openly. Whereas if you look at a say more further east, you'll find a culture that's more high context, where the language maybe implies more than it said openly describes. It's more of like a prescriptive way of communicating as opposed to a descriptive way.
yeah, for the most part.
So what you get
But the
in
thing
the
is, though,
West
there
is
are
like
there are
very
people in the
rigid
United States with
definitions
high
and
context, though. But it's very few people that actually have high context in the United States, unfortunately. Those would go to your people like your TFMs have high context and high communication skills. Sandman has high context and high communication skills. He also has high both him and TFM have
oh yeah,
high they have very high social awareness skills too, for the
we
most
know.
part. Um it's just stuff like that. Like people lack social awareness and lack social cues for the most part. And it sucks, but it happens a lot. But like there's people that have high social context, and then there's like people with low social context that believe they have high social context. It's kind of like what I was saying in my one
Well,
video.
narcissism. Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like what I was
yeah.
saying in my one video. People
It's
who
just a
think they're wicked
communication
smart,
problem.
yeah, people who think they're wicked smart or wicked dumb. People don't think they're smart are actually very smart. Or people who say they're smart are actually stupid. People who actually are smart never say they're smart in the least bit. Um, and that's pretty much how that pretty much balances that out for the most part. Um, but since Double I is here now, we can actually get
Hey,
into to the tech talk for the most part now. Now that I killed enough time for him to actually show up.
Wow. Wow. I'm over here suffering on an MRI table, and you're over here talking about how I'm late.
I'm just joking with you. I'm just
Lame.
joking with you.
I
I
know
know.
you are.
I
No,
know. I'm
but
If
just
you were
yeah,
I had to pick
serious,
on you. I had to pick
if you
on
were
you.
serious, it'd be a different story.
I know, right?
I,
I know, right?
right. So, wow, I've been listening to you guys while I was waiting for my MRI to get done, but funny, uh, funny stuff, man. Yeah, good topics. So you ready to talk about technology? You ready to
Yep.
talk about single board
I am.
computers?
Yep.
Oh snap! All
I
right,
am.
all right. So
I even brought some of my tech here too. I got.
oh, uh-oh.
I
What do you got
did.
in front of you?
I came ready.
Very nice.
I
Very
might have
nice.
to expo. I might have to expo, but I gotta find a good angle for my camera just to give you the. I brought up my battery pack. Have an inverter that I use.
Uh-huh.
And I have a cord. And then I was gonna show you guys the what's it called? The Science Journal app. If I can
Oh,
pull it up,
yes. Nice.
because
Yeah, that
because
would be
then I can you can see what it looks like in case you haven't heard of it before. I will get here. I'll just cast it. Do you
well,
guys? Is it?
the science journal
Yeah.
piece and everything is going to be more or less on when we do that skit on Android applications and what type of sensors and everything like that. So the
Oh
single
well,
board
yeah.
computers,
I have it for Apple. I don't even have it for Android. So I guess that
right?
doesn't even work. Then never mind.
Well, both of them. I mean, we're going to be using both sets, but for right now, single board computers is a whole different ball game and a whole different subject that we're going to cover.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
All right, so we all talk about drop PCs or drop laptop or burner phones and things like that. Um, how many people or how many of you two have heard about? Come again?
No, you're good.
Oh, so how many people have heard about, or how many of you guys have heard about computers that are burner computers essentially? So we talked about tracking people with their IMEI ID, with their MAC address, uh, locating them through an IP address, that sort of thing. So there's multiple ways to find somebody, right? So one of the questions is, if you're in the the mode of getting ghost, or even if you're not in the mode of getting ghost, how do you use a device that's going to be separate from your normal devices? Well, single board computers offer a range of different applications, when you're ghosting, when you're just doing your normal everyday life, if you're doing whatever, if you just want to gather intelligence on what you do on a normal basis, like they gather on you, well, a single board computer might be it, right? So normally you have computers inside of your cars. Like if you have an Audi, if you have a BMW, if you have a Land Rover, so on and so forth, you're going to have onboard computing in a sense, but it's limited. You can't, throw applications on it. You can't gather intel or data on it or anything like that. Where a single board computer comes in when you're doing a mission and so on and so forth, and you want to gather intel, like take for instance, is there somebody in the area that you've run into before? Well, most people wouldn't know how to do that. Visually, yeah, that's one way to do it. But what if you want to automate the process? Well, easy way to do it is you start tracking who is around you via MAC address or Wi-Fi signal and so on and so forth. So take for instance, if you're sitting there,
Oh, I see.
yeah, if you're sitting there going through a parking lot or whatever, and you say to yourself, okay, computer, uh, in my car, before I jump outside here, have I just passed any signals that I know, or anyone that I'm familiar with? So I go into a shopping mall, and I had an issue with person A, and person A sends off a certain Wi-Fi signal. I can put it into my single board computer. Like when person A blips up on radar, I want to know so I can either A, avoid him, B, contact him directly, or C, make sure he doesn't see me, or whatever. Whatever the situation is, right? So I'm not going to get into why you want to do it, but let's just say you want to do it. This is one of the ways as a single board computer is, you automate the process. So visually, you can add a camera. So if you just want to visually verify that that Wi-Fi signal or MAC address or IP address is within your range, one way of doing it is visually verifying that the signal is there. Another way of doing it is non-visual aspects. So we talked about the different sensors that are available, whether it be infrared or even any sort of emitting signal from your device. So there's multiple ways of tracking that. So then you may say, okay, well, this is all tech stuff that really doesn't pertain to me. There's no way in hell that I'm going to be setting up a single board computer to track people around me and so on and so forth. Okay, you're right, absolutely correct. But what about for yourself? Like take for instance, you go to a certain pattern um, on a normal basis. Google's already tracking you on that pattern. How can you use it to your advantage? Well, one of the ways is identifying your pattern in the first place. So let's use something realistic, a map program. So on all of your computers or all of your cell phones, there's Google Maps. So inside of Google Maps, you can actually trace your footsteps where you've been. Google knows. And why should you not know? Because if you look at it, you can see what your patterns are all over town, right? So if you have tracking on, even if you don't have tracking on, maybe Google, if you turn it on now, Google's going to start watching you. And basically it tells you, okay, well, double I's been here, double I's been there, double I, did this on this day or this on that day, and so on and so forth. So they keep
Or
track of all of those
your phone
metrics.
lets you know you can rate how the place that you were just at, like it's tracking where you're at.
Precisely.
If you just went out for dinner, for example, or something.
Right. And you're thinking to yourself, damn, this phone is spying on me. You're right. It is spying on you. It is measuring every measurable metric possible on you. And the reason is that's how they make their money on you, is they want to know what you do. They want to know what you buy. They want to know where you go, that sort of thing. And then people who wish to do you harm or use you to do harm or further their game or whatever, they will use those metrics to figure out how they can manipulate you. So then we go into other things that single board computers are used for, evil purposes, right? So there's people out there that'll use a single board computer to steal your identity. So take, for instance, if they drop a computer somewhere, plug it into a USB port. So you know what? We didn't even get into the kinds of single board computers. So the easiest ones that people find are Raspberry Pis. No, that's not a food. So Raspberry Pi computer is basically a throwaway type of computer. It's less than $50. It comes with everything essentially that you need to make it operational. It has onboard memory slot, has its own RAM, and so on and so forth. So what would you do with a Raspberry Pi? Well, people are building drones with them. People are building sensor collection devices.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you know that?
On a single board computer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like what
single board,
do? Just fly in with a camera or something, or what? Like it's so it has other stuff on it that may or may not be
the Raspberry.
Literally just a single board computer.
That's it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean you have sensors and hats and things that you add on to it, but yes, literally the basic brain of even my Segway is a single board computer.
So
yeah. So even your phone is essentially nothing but a single board computer with sensors on it. So
Is that why they like BlackBerry phone is like named BlackBerry after Raspberry Pi?
no,
No,
that's different.
no,
You're thinking about two different things there, buddy.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know where the name came from for Raspberry Pi, but there's other boards, not just that one. That's just a brand. Another board people might be familiar with is a Asus Tinker board. Intel makes a bunch of them, but most of those Intel boards are more or less for things like cryptic cryptography, or I'm sorry, crypto mining and just stuff like that. So essentially, they use um, SBCs for all sorts of applications. Crypto is the biggest thing. So you'll hear about people creating just like farms and farms of Raspberry Pis powered off of maybe what do you call it? Yes, and believe it or not, a solar panel. And what they do is they set it up somewhere, and all day long, all day that thing is doing is mining cryptocurrency based upon solar generation and the computing power that's all plugged into that one area. It's pretty good stuff. Like if you know really get into it.
It's all on based on single board computing. Wow.
It's all based on single board computers. So before we get into the hardware and what types of computers are available and for what purpose and that sort of thing, let's get into, or let me finish up the last piece, which is the
Yeah, because I want to start mining crypto.
no, well, yes, you do, but there's better ways and more efficient ways to do it. SBCs are not
Yeah.
the only way. I mean, if you want to mine low-level crypto, absolutely set up like an SBC with a solar panel and uh, a Wi-Fi access point that's not going to cost you anything, because bandwidth is
Yeah,
the
basic
main thing.
stuff. Like just as a man in the manosphere, wanting people out of your goddamn business, or just having awareness of just the day-to-day goings on.
Well,
It's kind of
that's
why I like drawn to people who work in like security careers and stuff, because they're always have that, they're always aware of what's going on, like to a certain extent, like wherever it is that they work. Granted,
not
some of them you really don't know how to do their job.
not every security
But
guy knows about using SBCs as a
mhm.
as a a tool.
Oh no, you could have
So
told. Yeah, I could have told you that. Yeah, there's definitely not. There's definitely people who have experience in computers before security,
precisely,
that
yeah.
that would know a lot about that kind of stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So the application that you're speaking of, where it can help you with your anonymity online and that sort of thing, that's a perfect application right there. So like take for instance, most of us have different channels that we throw videos up on and that sort of thing, right? So we want to be able to keep track of all of that, or maybe have a channel that's separated from this channel in case of YouTube flags it down or whatever.
Right,
Um,
like a backup plan. Mm-hmm.
like a backup plan, right? So
Mm-hmm.
redundancy is the main thing whenever it comes to disaster recovery or anything like that, right?
Got it. Got
So
it. Mm-hmm.
if YouTube is going to be taking down a channel, blah blah blah, and you just want to avoid that whole problem, well, first of all, don't do things that would get your channel blocked, right? That's number one. Then after that, what can you possibly do? Because obviously you got to run a channel. Well, you can have, maybe one of your backup channels, instead of on your phone or on your main device that you normally do YouTube work on, set it up on an SBC. So how can an SBC help you with a YouTube channel? Well, very simple. Everything you do on your phone, you can do on an SBC under Linux. So take for instance, you put on YouTube Creator under Linux. Um, what type of Linux? You pick a flavor. It doesn't matter. Most of those Raspberry Pis will run Ubuntu right out of the
Basically,
box, right out of the gate.
Ubuntu at least.
Yep. And that's good enough, because Ubuntu has, different flavors that you can use to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh dang! The Traversable said use the mini boards for stealing movies. Great.
True story.
That would be a great application. Yeah, but you might not want to out
True
yourself
story.
like that.
True story. True story.
True story.
So take for instance, you set up a SBC as a streaming device, right? So you know how you get smart computers and everybody's like, oh yeah, buy the latest and the greatest Vizio or LG or blah blah blah. It has built-in streaming for YouTube and that sort of thing. Forget about it. You don't want that crap. Just buy yourself a nice 4K monitor, right? TV monitor, it doesn't matter. 4K monitor. Get yourself a Raspberry Pi or a single board computer that absolutely has a 4K, um, chip on it. So the ability to broadcast 4K to an HDMI port.
Yeah.
Hook that bad boy up, and now you got a faster little computer, smarter than your smart TV, and then you don't have your TV's manufacturer controlling what you see. You're
What you
controlling
watch,
it
like
yourself now.
Samsung or something. Yeah.
Right, precisely. And so also they have a built-in, sensors on your TV as to what you do, how you do it, and everything like that, just like your computer does. The reason why they're so cheap is because of that, because they're collecting data
Because they
on you.
limited features and that it's clogged with a bunch of third-party proprietary like data tracking devices and stuff.
Like
So
a
that's
good
going to
example,
slow your.
of that type of stuff, where he's talking
Go ahead.
about the channels and stuff like that, is actually did an upload of one of my videos about a library channel that I actually own on YouTube, and it pretty much just mirrors content. All the content that you see on my channel, my Tico Tren channel, except for live streams, is all mirror content for the most part. So what happens is I just take it and I basically mirror the content to Tico Tren or Tico Tren SYSBM when it was up and running. Now regular Tico Tren. So I take all the content from there and mirror it from there. Now all my other channels that I actually upload to, like the anime channels and the travel channels and all those other channels, that content also comes from that library too. So if anything was to happen, I have all this stuff backed up and I can always upload another video for the most part, which is actually really cool. So
Nice.
every
Yeah,
single video I
system.
own, video I own basically comes from that channel. Every single video from all the 20 odd channels that I've actually owned literally come from that library channel for the most part. So everything's always backed up. And that's basically how I have it set up, and that's how I have it operated. So the Cartel Princess doesn't have a hard time pulling stuff. She pretty much knows stuff because it's all categorized like Tico Tren, adult anime, child anime, travel channel, Hindi channel, Arab channel, so on and so on and forth on.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically, and they're basically all numbered for the most part. So when she go to
Yeah.
mirror it, she basically takes it, titles it, and pretty much uploads it to the channels.
Yeah.
So you've
so
actually
you
gone
basically
one step
I've
further
already
and have a
Yeah.
all the things that you're talking about in the videos that
Flow.
you uploaded
Yeah.
recently. All that stuff you made like months ago.
Yeah. All the stuff that I actually upload every day is actually made anywhere between about 4 weeks to a month ago for the most part.
No viruses. That's another.
So
No viruses traversable from using a SBC.
No, there are viruses, Linux viruses that get into SBCs.
Oh, I have heard of Linux viruses then before though. So
Right, but here's the thing: because the Linux core is what is protected when, or what these viruses are after. So the core has all the. Sorry, there's a ambulance going by here.
Oh well, he said Traversable also said that anything is easily removed off of a SBC, so that's good.
Correct. Yes. So if you
yeah.
if you are not using the onboard Wi-Fi of the SBC, you can plug in a USB, to be the Wi-Fi, and then instead of trashing your whole SBC, in case your channel gets burned or something like that, you can use a a different USB connector, or so on and so forth.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. So one of the questions I get when when I'm on the road and so on and so forth is how do I use a computer? Like I don't carry my laptop all the time. So when I'm leaving the laptop home, what am I using? And the answer is very simple. Just like we use single board computers, I use my my phone as a single board computer essentially. I have everything I need right with me. I have a wireless keyboard, a wireless mouse, and um, an
Mhm.
HDMI connector,
Yeah,
along with a USB-C
or whatever
power
you need
source,
to
and
work.
so on.
You know,
Precisely,
it's like it's a way to take your work with you.
Yeah.
precisely. So everywhere I go, essentially, the hotel room has a place where I can plug in into a monitor or a TV or something like that, and I use that big screen whenever I need to do my work and get anything I need done there. So with that said,
But they
let's
can
go
actually
ahead and
track you on in the hotel. Like, so what? But then, what are the ways that you avoid being tracked? Like when you say, for example, when you go to a hotel.
see, now you're asking the good questions. Well, without giving away too much information here, where
I'm
an
saying because I'm
SBC can
learning. I'm
help you.
writing down. I'm taking down notes, boy.
Well, you should be. You should be, because everywhere you go is a potential threat. Any Wi-Fi you connect to is a potential threat, and you may ask the question, threat from what? Well, I'm not really hiding from anybody. I don't really break the law or anything like that. Well, a threat can be identified on a sliding scale in many different ways. So, damn, how many times is this ambulance going to pass me? It's the same exact ambulance. This is the second time he
We
fucking
left part of
passed
her.
me.
We gotta go
I don't
pick the
even
rest
have
of her
lights
back
like
up.
you, bro. whoever's
Somebody had the
whoever's
triage
in that,
tag, and they were like, "Oh,
somebody's
so we
dying.
forgot the person's leg."
I'm telling you, man. I swear to God, this is the second time this ambulance has passed me going the same direction. Oh wow. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, all right. Where was I? So using a single board computer to put a barrier between yourself and other access points. So why would you want to do it? Well, we've talked about collection of data, right? Advertisements, that sort of thing. So going onto a public Wi-Fi, you're basically opening yourself up to, saying to whoever's out there watching, hey, look at me. Here's what I got. Feel free to browse through my contact list. Feel free to browse through my pictures. Feel free to browse through whatever files I may have inside of my computer. That's basically what you're doing anytime you access someone else's access point,
Okay,
because
wait.
there's no
So wait,
security
question.
in somebody else's access point.
So if you have, let's say you walk in with your phone and then you don't have it on Wi-Fi, but you have it on
Um,
like your cellular data, does it pick up your information then?
well, yes and no. So one thing is you're not on their Wi-Fi, but your phone is broadcasting some sort of
Oh,
a
what's up,
signal.
Valhalla? Sorry I missed you. Sorry about that. What's up,
Oh,
Valhalla?
so physically they can track you, but they don't really have access to the things that you're actually using the internet for, just the computer itself being recognized.
Well, without going too far off the topic, which is buffering yourself from other people's Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
they have all sorts of sensors everywhere. And let's use Walmart as as a example, right? So Walmart has a plethora of sensors all over their stores, little cameras, little sensors. So does Apple, by the way. Walmart's not the only
The
company.
Apple
So
stores are
here's
crazy. I haven't been in an Apple store like I think since they've opened. I don't know. It was never like I would never
dude,
like go in there. They look so creepy.
not only are they creepy, but they have enough sensors in there to basically peek up your ass. That's how many
Yeah,
Just look at
sensors.
the tape.
yeah, they do.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do. I have to like I get kind of like ugh. I pucker when I walk by that
Dude,
store.
I feel guilty just being inside of the damn store. Like I feel like I stole something. That's how much they're
You
watching you.
stole some like shitty iPhone. Oh God, what a
Dude,
crime!
I would give it back. I would say, please, I must have accidentally taken this. I don't know
Accidentally
how it fell
stolen
into my,
this.
but I just want you to know, here, have it back. But before I give it back to you, here's a sledgehammer. Boom, boom, boom. Here you go.
Here you go. Nice. Nice. Nice, nice.
Because I don't want it to have any data collected on me before I give it back to you. So I'm just saying, dude, literally, I have walked into, you know, people don't know their rights. All right. So when I did used to use my Apple computers, and I'm not going to get into, you know, which government agency or anything like that, but when I'm on a contract for certain things, you can't just give your data back to a manufacturer. Like,
Oh yeah, I
take
know.
for instance, if you got a bad phone, you can't just say, okay, god damn it, I'm going to use the warranty and get another phone.
Like trade up or something. Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't do that because there's been data on the device that should not leave your hands. You
Yeah,
see what I'm
literally. Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And that
Well, that's
data
kind of
is
why I don't like
retrievable.
what when I look at like with the air. If you buy like headphones, like the new AirPods, I always think like, dude, if you were to, I wonder if they can track things that you listen to on there. Or
Yes.
eventually
Yes.
eventually they'll be able to do it. Or through Bluetooth, you can just literally pick up the device and
We're
just be like,
going
all right.
way off topic
Oh
now,
yeah.
but now we're in DRM. You're talking about DRM, so
Yeah.
uh, data rights management, right? Or
Hmm.
even device rights management. All that stuff falls under DRM. So DRM
Interesting. I'll have to do some
is
more
something that you
deep
should
research into
really
that.
research. Yeah, yeah. But essentially, every time you listen to, even on Google Play, so I know I have Google Play, right? So I listen to music and everything like that. I have my own albums, all the shit that I bought, albums and everything like that, essentially are useless now, right? So who has a damn CD player in their car? I don't, because if the one that I do,
I do.
I have I have a freaking what do you call it, cell phone holder stuffed into my CD player, so I don't even use my CD player. Plus, who wants to carry around all those CDs and all those cases and stuff like that and fobble through them when you can just basically pull up any song you want on any streaming service that you have on your cell phone or whatever, right?
I don't want
True
anybody knowing
story.
what guilty pleasure songs I'm listening to when I'm walking down the street.
You
Like a
would.
virgin. I'm just like
You're
walking, looking all hard, and people are like,
you're a
"Wow,
completely
man, you
different
probably
animal
listening to
when it comes
Yeah,
to
you
DMX."
this.
definitely are. Yeah.
You're like you're out in left field. So now we're like really off course. So let me wind it back to SBCs and being a buffer between you and external Wi-Fi's. So we're not going to get into the details on how to create one, but a basic SBC that anyone and everyone absolutely should create is one that buffers you from other people's Wi-Fi. What do I
Yeah.
mean by that? So if you have a single board computer, we'll just, in this particular scenario, we'll use a Raspberry Pi 4, right? So you get the latest Raspberry Pi, you hook it up to a one of those power bricks or whatever, you know, USB power bricks. So there's your source of power right there. It'll last you all day long. You leave it inside of your car as a backup power source. You plug it into your car under a cigarette lighter, however you want to do it.
Hmm.
You put maybe a 128 meg or gig or maybe a 256 gig chip inside of the Raspberry Pi. That'll serve as your base, you know, storage and everything like that. And you set up maybe two USB Wi-Fi dongles on it, right? So if you're going to permanently install it inside of your car, put one dongle on one side and one dongle on the other side. This way they can, you know, talk separately, and you can also figure out which direction a Wi-Fi signal is coming from. So then, instead of connecting to your Starbucks with your phone directly, you connect to the Wi-Fi of your own device, and it connects to Starbucks. So say you have like 3 kids with you and you don't want them getting on Starbucks Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So you say, okay, you connect to Double I's Wi-Fi, and Double I's Wi-Fi will basically be your go-between to all the different Wi-Fi spots that you're going to visit.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, a good example of buffering non Wi-Fi style is the way I do my live streams. If you know anything about where I'm actually located versus where my tower is located versus the remote access to the tower is located is two totally different things. Like a good example of that is I'm actually using my cell phone right now. Now, what a lot of people don't know is like I remote access it with a laptop. I remote access my actual computer with a laptop, and I basically phone runs through my computer, runs through my laptop, runs through my computer, sitting actually back in Pittsburgh for the most part. So I'm in Tijuana, my laptop is here, my phone is here, and my computer's in Pittsburgh.
So you're virtual computing.
Yeah, literally.
So essentially,
VMing.
just like
he's VMing.
VMing, right? So just like we talked about how you can set up multiple Raspberry Pis to, do your crypto mining and stuff like that, people like Tico would set up an SBC or even a small form factor computer remotely somewhere, so they don't have to lug it around all over the place. Like, who wants to carry 8 computers, right? So you basically carry one laptop, and that one laptop can VM or remotely control 8 different computers separately, or at the same time, or whatever. And each one is running a different processor, does a different thing, or has a different ID, or so on and so forth. So that's actually an excellent way of doing it. Without
Yeah,
having
like
to carry
actually, the
multiple
funny thing about it
computers.
is the computer that I'm actually using to do this live stream is actually the one that Red Pill Radio built for me. So it's actually
Nice.
sitting back in Pittsburgh. But so I want to give a shout out to Red Pill Radio for that. I'm actually currently building my own right now as we speak. But yeah, I basically have control of all of my electronic devices via my laptop, the same one that feminist bitch sat on in the airport.
Wow.
That's
And
such a
broke the
back.
screen.
That's
Yeah,
definitely
I
such a
fixed the
back.
screen and everything, but yeah, I basically
Maybe she was
buffered everything through
Antifa.
that. Huh?
She could have been Antifa planted there to
Well,
sabotage
nah.
you.
If she's Antifa, she'd have got it. It'd have been worse. It would have been a worse fist fight then.
Gloves
Yeah, it'd
would
have
have
been a
come
worse fist
off.
fight. Yeah, you'd have set the cartel princess off, and then like you kind of sort of, if you set her off, you kind of sort of got to set off the bodyguard. So you kind of run into problems. You kind of run into problems. It's bad enough. My 11 going on 12-year-old kicked the shit out of that chick, but who's to say what the rest of the people in the family wouldn't have did to everybody else if they'd have jumped in it? Hell, I think Lazo would have had a nice fight.
It'd have been an all-out brawl.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd have just watched it. Come on now, calm down, gas. Calm down, gas. Oh well, fuck it. Where's the popcorn?
Why stop it? Why stop it? Honestly.
No, why stop it when you're enjoying it, right? But back to the
Yeah.
actual topic because we're sitting there cutting up now. Go ahead,
So
double I.
it's all
Sorry.
right. It's cool. We're not that far off topic. So going by what you're doing and using an SBC or a go-between for you and your Wi-Fi's, very similar without going into detail on how I use it. I basically have let's just call it a book. All right. It looks and it feels just like a book, regular size and everything like that. But inside of it, there's a single board computer, has multiple USB dongles. I'm not going to get into how many. One is always connected to my phone wirelessly, and it's on a separate, signal. So take, for instance, if you have a certain type of uh, receiver and transmitter, you don't necessarily have to use the IEEE rating or the IEEE standard, which is 802.11
The ones that come with
ABC.
the transmitter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So if you have a
Like less
transmitter that's a
features,
little,
basically.
well, not just less features, but you have less bandwidth. So you're locked into the bandwidth that the manufacturer has to abide by through FCC and through IEEE.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you want to, when you're traveling, you can find transmitters of different types because it's outside of the FCC range, right? You can't find
Got
those
it.
in the
So if you
stateside.
live in the city, yeah.
Right. So essentially, we're just going to call it my black book. The black book can stop transmission of cell phone signals if I want them to in my absolute vicinity. So not only that, I can see who's in my immediate area based upon a cell phone transmissions and receiver on my black book. I can
Yeah.
multi-contact. If someone came within a perimeter while I'm, what do you call it, a contract or whatever, and that multi-contact came with, it would set off alarm,
You're starting to.
visible alarm
There you go.
that
Much
anyone
better.
can
Okay.
notice. Is that better?
Yeah, much better. There you go. So I was about to say you got it. You got it. Never mind.
It was cutting out for a little bit. Oh, he's gonna reset and then come
he's
back.
gonna reset and come back. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
he's gonna do. But he was fine though. But he always does that, so I'm used to it.
Yeah, he really should call this segment "ReVMing for Dummies."
Nah, it's just a forum. We don't got to call names.
How's that?
Yeah, much better. Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
I know. You're fine. Trust me,
All
you're
right.
fine.
So essentially, I'm not going to go too much further into my black book, but basically the black book is what I'm telling you guys to create for yourselves, not on this level, but to at least buffer yourself from Wi-Fi signals, or at least public Wi-Fi signals. And the reason you should do that is basically just protect your identities. You don't want
Plain and
people
simple.
tracking you.
For the most part, yeah, true story. And the funny thing about like protecting identity and like using the black book, and he talks about black book and stuff like that, is your black book can be anything. It depends on what your finances are. It depends on what you can afford, what you want to make it, what you want it to be for the most part. Like a good example, like my black book would be actually a bunch of servers based on my security firm company. And like what he was saying about the being able to detect people in your vicinity. What's up, AJ? About being able to detect people in your vicinity, like it's very discreet to the point where like if you pull up your Wi-Fi hotspot, you can actually see FBI van 1, FBI van 2. You can actually see different things like that in your Wi-Fi to basically let you know who's in your vicinity or who's in a radius of you for the most part when it comes to
Really?
the security software. Oh yeah. And like a lot of people that buy the security software are pretty much people who are on the opposite side of the law because they enjoy that. They enjoy that being able to like actually track and find people who are trying to eavesdrop on phone conversations and stuff like that. And another good thing with that is if somebody actually taps into your phone signal, it turns into white noise with the security firm. Um, the security software, it turns into white noise for the most part, so they get like a bunch of nothing.
I was trying to avoid getting into black pill stuff here.
Too far into it. No, I'm sorry.
That's why I kept it, vanilla and clean as much as possible.
Yeah, but like the security software is pretty nice. A lot of world governments, there's about 2 world governments that actually have it on their phones and have it on their computers for the most part. And it's very nice. It's a nice contract to have, and actually enjoy having that contract. But like, there's also a lot of people who aren't on the good side of the law who actually has this software, and it works out very nice for them because they can actually secure their operations and do what they need to do to basically make their money.
Yep.
But that's enough of the black pill. Back to the red pill.
Oh yeah, go on. I'm feeling existential right now. I feel like vulnerability.
Yeah, I know, right?
Remember, the reason why normal people are called cattle is
exactly. You get milked. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For all your data.
once again, nothing to be afraid of, nothing to, just say I'm going to run into the mud and stick my head in the sand and never look back. No, just be aware. Be
definitely
absolutely aware.
Always be aware.
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah.
Because the minute you get too sure of yourself is the minute that you get robbed.
Mm.
Or the minute you don't really think too much about this stuff is the minute you get robbed for the most part. It's the nature of the beast.
Yep.
They get you when you least suspect it, and they get you when you think you're at your best. When you're pretty much not overcompensate. What's the word I'm looking for? When you overestimate your abilities for the most part.
When you show your hand, basically, by saying, I know I can win. Yeah.
Yeah, when you show your hand, you basically are going to lose, and that's basically when people are going to take advantage of you and what you got going on for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
I like.
So any questions as to what I've covered so far? I tried to leave, a lot of stuff vague, because once again, I don't know what you guys are going to use a single board computer for, other than the first thing is, the absolute necessity is buffer yourself from public Wi-Fi signals. That should be number one, right?
Yeah. The reason why he kept himself vague, just in case y'all decide to do some crazy stuff, so he won't take responsibility for it.
Yeah, I'm not taking responsibility for anybody's stupidity. Plain and simple,
For evil.
Don't be talking about I was on the dark web and I got arrested. No, that was between you and the dark web, pimp.
Yeah, it's like Eminem's like, they're gonna blame me.
This information is to perpetuate good. We're not trying to, influence you to do bad things here. The influence here is in an absolute good way. We want you to protect yourself from harm. So what is that harm? The harm is the unseen harm. The harm is people collecting data on you and manipulating you, essentially. What do I mean by manipulation? Let me just briefly touch on that, right? I think I did on the last tech session, but I'll just kind of cover it one more time on this one, just so we all know we're on the same page. How do people manipulate you? They look at what type of things you buy, what your habits are, that sort of thing, who you listen to, and what your core beliefs are. Based upon that, there are millions and millions of metrics that they can go through just to see what you are doing and what you're going to do. Yes, they can predict your behavior. The reason they can predict your behavior is because you are not a unique person, as much as your mother would like to believe. You are one of billions. So because you're one of billions, you're easily readable based upon the metrics.
Essentially, you're like fit a description, basically.
Precisely. Right. So based upon that, that's how you're manipulatable.
True story. Based on your general preferences and wants and needs and stuff like that, that's how you're pretty much,
Right. So
now we're raised, everyone's just like a snowflake. They all think that no one like they're nothing, that they're the newest thing under the sun, and then
it's all been done before.
Especially when you run into people, who think, and the sad part about it, the same technique that they use.
They're gonna object. They disobey the laws when they think that they're above it, and then they get caught, and then everybody sees that they weren't all that special. They're just
another sad part about that is you get people who actually come in the same techniques that they use for electronically to actually determine which your wants and needs is the same that they use when they do like profiles on people to actually determine the type of person they are. It's kind of like when I say I already know what you're going to say before you already open your mouth because I know the type of person you are. Why is that? Because I was trained properly to actually do so. And what's up, Garuda Ghost? I sent you some mailboxes and Discord, pimp, for a couple of the live streams that's coming up, and the ones that you missed.
Oh, check your email, Garuda. Get up in here.
So you better start checking your stuff, man, or you're gonna have me mad at you. I'm just joking now. I can never be mad at Garuda Ghost. That's my homie. But but yeah, But yeah, I pretty much know what you're going to do and say before you even do and say it for the most part, based on your personality. Because the sad part about it is what a lot of people don't realize is you'll hear a lot of people say something. It's kind of like how we kind of like how we profile the female nature into a category. For the most part, we say, well, if they say this, they really mean this, or if they say they're not in the drama, they're really in the drama type thing. It's the same thing that goes for men too. So I can look at a man, listen to a man, or look at how a man types and judge his behavior and actually get a complete profile of the man based on that. It's the same thing they do for a computer, but less complicated because they got a computer and algorithms that do it for them. Whereas as a human being, you actually got to learn this skill and trait for the most part.
Yeah, it's automated.
But that's the thing that people need to think about is that even though automation is growing massively, there's still just there's an undeniable human element that you need to take into account, or else you'll become assimilated, to the you'll be
The sad part about
everyone's being turned into Terminator, like the scene or like the future of Terminator.
Yeah, for the most part, once you think about it,
Mhm.
what we just talked about, everybody's technically already assimilated. Because like I was saying,
Mhm.
if you buy something from Walmart on your phone, if you go into like your Google anything Google or anything, any of the apps that you use, you'll see what you bought or what you recently went through on your website that you went through for like a sale for like good example K-Swiss or Pumas or something like that, or
Yep.
let's just say you bought soap at Walmart or something like that. You'll literally see an ad in all those apps based on what you just did on your phone within the last 24 hours for the most part.
You're basically just giving them
Yeah, you're
the
basically just giving them
book
your
of your
information.
life.
Yeah, literally. So everybody's already assimilated, and this is why we say this is where me and Double I always disagrees at. When I say I actually have a Chinese phone, so I don't have Google. I said I'd rather have the Chinese on my shit than I have the government on my shit, because at least I know I can't be arrested in China for some shit. But like if I say something just a tad bit wrong, I could be arrested for espionage in America.
See, now I thought I proved this wrong to you already, Tico, but you know
Huh?
what? I guess I'm going to have to show you again. I proved you wrong on this one already. Remember? All right, look.
That's
No, you
for
Remember that
didn't.
one journalist that
for
disappeared?
offline
We agreed
discussion.
to disagree. Remember?
No. All right.
Because
All right.
there's a lot of people going to
We
Gitmo.
won't
There's
get.
a lot of people going to Gitmo from the United States that that says some shit by
Well,
accident.
it's almost like I think a good way
True.
a good way to
True.
explain it would be like there's like a million, like there's a saying in English, there's a million ways to skin a cat,
Yeah.
So if you think about it,
Well,
there's a lot of like there isn't really a lot of ways that people have developed in the West to combat the surveillance. Whereas like surveillance in China's been around since forever.
Yeah.
And or like espionage or stuff like that, But it's like
dude, there
everybody
is
is
no
kind of
better
like kind of
surveillance than Chinese surveillance. I got to tell you that.
exactly.
Yeah, but the sad part about it is at least I know the Chinese aren't going to like sell it to
And
like
they don't
Right.
care. Yeah, they don't care
Pharma
if you say something that's
or
off politically.
Walmart or Google or all these other
Mhm.
companies. I rather be in a database for freaking what's it called Alibaba than being a database for Amazon.
True. Yeah, exactly.
At least
Me
I know
too.
all the shit I'm
I'll
buying
take
from
that.
Alibaba is really really good.
And the
Yeah, I
thing
mean,
is,
people use
this has been
data
going
in
on.
that.
This has been going
Yeah,
on for
in our country
years,
for
well before
nefarious purposes.
computers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well before
Yeah,
computers.
yeah,
Hell, Israel does without computers what America does in intelligence
yeah.
with
With just
computers.
people. Yeah,
Yes.
With just people on the ground. Like literally they're better at it than the United States. They can pretty much tell you what's going on without a computer.
Yep.
With an operative. And like America needs all these technology and all these computers and all
yeah.
these
Because
spy
we're all
planes and all
just
this
like
stuff. And meanwhile,
showing.
Israeli intelligence just shows up with two people and it's like they got
They
a
know
whole entire
everything
dossier and
that's
shit by the end
going
of the week.
on. Oh my god. Just
We don't.
level some city state just based on two people.
Just two people living in a city state, but we need a whole
Like,
entire
oh
bomber.
god.
The U.S. needs a whole entire bomber to do the same damn thing that two
Mhm.
Israeli people just did.
Well, I mean, there's another thing too with the surveillance. It's like, yeah, the last people that I could see doing something very effective with surveillance is like America,
Good
because
night,
all
Garuda
of the
Ghost.
countries they have certain things. Like America just has too many checks and balances and like gridlock and thing. Like if something were to have, like somebody were to get a piece of information, it's like it'd be a long time before anything could actually get executed based on that piece of information.
I don't know. That's changed in the recent years.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the whole, Patriot Act and everything like that.
Yeah.
A lot of blocks have been opened up.
Yeah. So like the government doesn't have to go through a lot of red. There's not a lot of bureaucratic red tape if you just say
Yeah.
terrorist attack or something like that, or if you say
Yeah.
it's a problem of national security.
Yeah.
National security is
So, I
in
mean,
danger for the most part. You can pretty much cut through all the red tape by saying that, or terrorist attack. It's kind of like how, like, if something happens in the United States and all they got to say is terrorist attack, and when they say terrorist attack, that means all investigation from the police stops.
Hey,
The fire
Tico.
department packs up and
Hey,
goes away.
Tico.
What?
Can you stop saying terrorist attack? God
I'm
damn
sorry.
it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You know that's a bad
you're
word.
triggering people.
Yeah, but like this basically, if they use that as a word, they basically all the police officers, everybody on the ground that's doing an investigation, it automatically stops. The fire department packs up their stuff and leaves, and everybody just goes back to their merry way for the most part.
Yep.
And the
Okay.
government just handles everything from here on out. So whatever the police officers found pretty much gets destroyed, and stays with the government when they show up for the most part. And after they say it was this type of attack, or it was
Well, here's the
interest in
thing.
national security for the most part.
Before that used to happen a lot. That happened a lot at a high level, like
Yeah.
a upper level. But now the local municipalities are all learning that shit and everything like that in a false way.
Oh God, they're escalating the shit
And
out
they're
of
just
Yeah.
every
yes,
situation.
exactly.
Yeah.
So now everything's a fucking threat. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Oh yeah.
That car has
why did you
dried
walk
sun
behind
dried
me?
paint. Yeah,
Yeah, or my favorite is
it doesn't
they'll
look like a new
basically use
model.
that. And the sad part about that is when local police actually use that, that means they get to do less work that day. So we're basically paying them all their tax dollars so they can basically not do any work, so they can have the U.S. government come in and spend more of our money to actually do an investigation on some shit that's not even all that bad.
I save about $60 in gas. Like over
Yeah,
the
like all
long
the police
term.
cruisers didn't have to show up.
Shit.
Good thing the captain was there because he called that. We didn't have to go. Like stuff, yeah, and it's funny.
Speaking of police cruisers, this is a completely different topic, and I just wanted to bring it up since our main topic is over anyway.
Okay.
I was listening to one of the many gentlemen in the manosphere that help, guys that are dealing with Title 4D stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
4D
and
stuff.
so yeah, Title 4D stuff. So one of the things that you wonder is the expenditures, right? Because that there's Title 4D contractors in your state, county, and municipality that are getting paid through the Title 4D contract, right? So they're all contractors. Doesn't matter if they're a judge, they're a contractor. If they're involved, they're a contractor. So there's
definitely.
conflict of interest, right? So number one, there's a conflict of interest. Number two, you can't find the conflict of interest because they will hide their incomes from the 4D contract. So one of the things that one of these guys in the manosphere mentioned out, and I'm going to give him a shout out because he's amazing in his work. Amin Osiris is his name. He basically is a Title 4D. I know you do. But here's the thing.
I know. But he does got a point, though. He does got a point. I will give him that.
He brings excellent information into the manosphere about Title 4D stuff. And one of the things he found recently, he spoke of expenditures. So they've been hiding, what their incomes are, but they can't hide expenditures.
People
and one of the
money
expenditures, right, exactly. But no, even spending money on the books, they have to spend money on the books because they got a lot of money on the books, right? So what do? They spent $30,000 on a police cruiser
Yeah.
under Title 4D.
You're
So
Oh,
kidding.
definitely.
So
Yeah.
now by
Yeah.
using that police cruiser, essentially your township or sheriff's department or whoever is reaping the fruits of the benefits of the Title 4D program.
Yeah. Definitely.
So essentially they're now contractors in a scheme to take money away from you and the federal government. So our taxpayers, federal taxpayers, we are paying into a system that is ripping us off.
Definitely. And since we're on the subject of Hotaps, I would like to give a shout out to Amun Osiris and Hotap Jesus.
Mm,
Tap Jesus.
Yeah, since
And
since
you
I
know
I'm
would
what?
like to
I
give a
will
shout
give
out
them
to.
I will give props where props is due. Even though I don't like Hotaps, I will give props always where props is due. And they
I
spit
don't
out
know
some
if he's a
serious good
hotepper,
content for the
but
most part.
Brother Panic. I think he's a hotep or he's an anti-hotepper. I don't even know, but shout out that person as well.
Well, since we're doing shout outs, I had told you about one of the guys that my godson's mother listens to, and I couldn't remember his name. And I still can't remember his name. Damn. I just had it and I
You,
forgot it.
you gonna give a shout out to somebody you can't
Damn.
remember?
All the time. I always forget this guy's name. Soul Immortal. Soul Immortal
Oh,
is
nice.
yes, this guy and I don't know why I keep forgetting his name, but he always has some really good talks. Every time I listen to this guy, I always walk away with some good information. Soul Immortal.
I would like to
Shout
give
out
a
to you,
shout
my
out to
brother.
I would like to give a shout out to Shikama, and I would like to give a shout out to
Oh yeah.
Abba and Preach.
Yo, did you watch that video of them with
Yeah, I seen that
the
video.
where the guy was smiling. She was describing her pain and you were smiling.
Yeah, that was funny as that. She was smiling while she was
Wow.
describing her pain. Stop playing. Like she was doing the same damn thing.
Oh god. Oh, and they just posted a
Oh
video an hour
man.
ago too, so I gotta watch that when
I'm gonna have to check that
I
one
gotta
out
watch
too, for reals.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
They're
love
funny.
Abba and Preach. That I watch them religiously. Um,
Shout out Americus DeVille. He doesn't produce
Americus
content,
DeVille.
but
Yep.
yeah,
But
he's
he's
always in
always
there. He's
there.
always in
He's
everybody's
always
comment
there.
section. He's always there.
yeah,
Yeah,
He's always
him,
supporting.
Valhalla,
Shout out
and
to Yep.
and
yeah. Also yeah, and he actually Americus DeVille. I would like for him to get up on a text session, or maybe like, because I don't think he's tuned into either one of our text sessions so far. So yo, if you're watching this, Americus DeVille, tune
Dude,
in
there's
next week.
I think he's actually
Americus
working right
DeVille.
now.
You know what? There's an open invitation for him to jump on one of our text sessions because from
Yeah.
what I understand, he was looking for help to set certain things up like Discord and things like that. So you know
Well,
what? I would
he can
love
pretty
to
much jump in
have
Discord
him.
because I actually sent them a link to the other server that I
That would
have,
be cool. We
so he
could
can
teach
actually
people how
jump
to do
in
that.
anytime he wants,
Let's
and we can pretty much talk
dude
to him there.
let's get whoever listening right now. There's going to be an open session at one point. So get your questions together. You know, get whatever you want to ask us together, right? So at one point we're going to start taking questions from you guys and fixing whatever issues that you may have and answering your questions on how to fix certain things. So once
And we'll
again,
do it on the spot.
right, and we'll do it on the spot. So once again, we're not going to condone anyone doing anything for evil purposes. We just want to, number one, it's going to be for your own personal security, and number two, something you can't figure out that we might be able to easily answer for you to help you out, whatever.
And if you can't do that, then if you have an Apple and you don't want to pay as much money for an Apple bar, or they can't fix your shit, I'll pretty much direct you over to Linus Tech. He fixed a lot of good Apple shit for the most part.
And if you see somebody that you care about doing or making the same mistakes, being on open public Wi-Fi, you might want to let them know, and then they can alter and you produce more good in the world by keeping people's information private.
Facts.
and always be willing to help a brother no matter what.
No matter what, fam.
Well, unless,
No matter
well,
what.
no, I can't say no matter what. If the
Well, if
person
they're a little
if the
crabby, then
person's
it's
on the up
fine.
and
Just
up and
let
they're
them be
actually not trying
crabby.
to use you for the most part, then help the brother.
Yeah.
If the person's
Because
trying to use
there's a
you,
lot of
use your
fake people
judgment.
that try and use you.
Use your judgment,
Yep.
basically.
Exactly. Exactly.
But like, yeah,
We're not going to get into
I'm always willing to
who
help a brother
or
no matter what, financially, monetary. I mean, well, that monetary is always financially, physically and emotionally, and everything under the sun for the most part.
right.
Um,
I mean,
so yeah, if you ever have a problem,
we've said it before
I'm
on the
sure pretty
show.
much a lot of y'all have my number. I think AJ has my number, but I'm not 100% sure. I could be wrong, but I believe AJ has my number. I know Freaky Jersey Tales has my number, and Double I has it, and I sent it to Yam a few times, but he ain't never called me. But it's okay though.
I really don't. I
I'm just
really
messing with
don't.
you. I'm just joking with you. I
I have no
didn't send it to
recollection.
you. I was being
I have no
sarcastic.
recollection.
I didn't send it to you. I was being a smartass.
Well, I always managed to bug you on Discord. I'm like,
Yeah, I know. He always found me on
I'm
Discord
literally
like,
gonna
damn it,
voice call this
I gotta
dude. I'm
hide.
gonna voice. Yeah.
It's like I gotta hide.
You can't escape me.
I know, right? I'm gonna start going under my other account on Discord.
You're like, where'd Tico go? He ain't log in a while. Wow.
Like, what the heck?
You better get on those SBCs so I can't track you. Nothing new there. World governments are always ripping the people off.
True story.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like there's not very much you can do, but basically secure yourself and protect yourself as much as humanly possible.
All you can do and be knowledgeable.
And be knowledgeable,
That's and you might not like the thing is like, yeah, you wanna be knowledgeable, but at the same time, it can be a lot being like thinking about all the black pill stuff that like Tico talked about or thinking about that stuff, but you have to be brave in the face of any threat. Like just because you become aware of something shouldn't make you become scared.
Yeah,
you should want to learn more.
Or just because you become aware, that don't mean you're 100% aware. There's still more for you to learn. Unfortunately,
you're not off the hook.
It's kind of like how I say to certain people, like there's only but so much I could teach you, but the rest you have to learn on your own, for the most part.
Yeah, because you done said it about 100 times before. Like I did that once. I had the first experience of doing that once, just a few days ago. And it was weird. I felt like I was growing into being like a man more because that's literally what I did. Is like I tried to be honest with somebody. I tried to tell them, and it got that feeling where I was annoyed, and they thought that I was actually like angry or something. But I was just annoyed because every single time they tried to argue for their point, I was like, I literally just told you that. So I realized I can't tell you the truth. You're just gonna have to live through life until you find that out for yourself.
Yeah, for the most part.
So
it's basically how I operate, because like the best way to describe it was what True Sherm said in one of the live streams that I did. And he said, and I quote, Tico's the type of person that expects you to carry your own weight. He's not helping you in the least bit, for the most part. And that's actually very true about my character. I expect you to carry your own weight. It don't matter what your age is. It don't matter if you're a paraplegic. I expect you to carry your own weight based on your abilities, for the most part. So
yeah, right.
And that's how I've always been. So if it sounds like I'm getting upset with you, I'm basically expecting you to carry your own weight and figure it out yourself, for the most part.
Well, I mean, if you call it dumping your baggage on someone, but there shouldn't be an obligation to hear stuff that you don't want to hear just because it's personal. Like a lot of people think they can air their dirty laundry out in public, and that everybody has to accept it. It's like, no, we don't have to deal with your emotions. Just quit basically bitching and come in and start actually, either you're going to talk and you're going to converse like an adult, or there's not going to be any communication whatsoever.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, that's basically how I operate. It's like, look, you got to carry your own weight. I expect that even from my 6-year-old. So you can't say, well, you're being unfair, Tico. No, my 6-year-old. Hell, when soon as my twins start talking and walking, I'm going to expect that from their ass. Well, they're still already walking and they're starting to talk, but when they start actually forming words, I'm actually going to start expecting that from them. For the most part, that's how I operate. That's how I roll.
Women, for the most part, like you take them out, and then they get they get into a fight with somebody or they cause a scene, they expect you to solve it.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
definitely.
wait, I didn't
Wait,
cause this, nor did
so
I.
what was that
Sorry,
there
go
when
ahead.
his fight broke out?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
was
gonna need
that
you to
there?
go handle it like a big
Exactly.
girl did.
No, I wasn't.
And I do that to my
So,
daughters. Like, honey, what happened? Okay, yeah. It sounds like you got to go beat that girl's ass. I'm sorry. I told my daughter the one day. Sounds like you got to go beat that girl's ass. You talked to the teacher? Yes. Did the teacher do anything? Yes. The girl didn't stop? Yes. Well, sounds like you got to beat her ass and get a point across. And that's exactly what I tell my children. Like, I don't really know. I don't know. Like, there's only but so much I'm willing to do for you before I actually expect you to do it yourself for the most part. And I expect that from all my children. Like I said, when my twins start forming words, they're going to get the same treatment. Nobody gets different preferential treatment from me at all. I'm the same across the board with everybody.
yeah, I'm trying to be more like that. It's going to take me some time to master, but I expect to be at that level with everybody. But
Well,
there's like,
the neat thing about you, though, is despite the fact your age, you actually carry your weight very nicely. Like I wouldn't have you around if you didn't. You carry your weight very nicely. Hell, you carry your weight more than you think you carry your weight.
well, I
Half the
think
time
it's
you're like,
because
did I
I'm
do that
so
right or did I do that wrong? No, you actually carry your weight. You're actually very valuable for the most part. Is the best way I can describe it. So like you carry your weight, like you're overachiever for the most part. I just look at you like, nigga, chill.
Right.
Well, yeah,
I'm going to go analyze this live stream. Nigga, chill. Like, do it tomorrow.
Yeah. I'll sit down.
Nigga, chill.
It's always working.
Yeah, and hey, and
Like,
I'm glad that you do that. Like you were
had
working
an interview. Dude has an interview, and he's worried more about the
live stream. Yeah, I know. Like, what the hell, nigga? What? No, nigga, you got to get this interview out the way.
I wasn't stressing about it. I was just saying. I just meant I have a lot on my plate. That's why I talk about it like a lot. So.
No, I'm not calling him a lapdog. I'm basically saying he basically is worth his weight in gold because he's actually a very smart kid for his age. Is what I'm saying. Lonely _ over there trying to start stuff in the comment section.
You know what, dude? we need to have a talk, man.
Hey, save it for the no ox shit. We get
I'm gonna save it for no ox shit.
That's what 2 days.
Everybody can show up. We have some fun. Hopefully, I'm not working though. I'm gonna get a new schedule. Then I can just start the show with you guys.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Auction usually goes on for a decent amount of time anyway because we always want to pull it, but then all of a sudden it ends up going longer than what I would expect it to.
That's the problem. That's our fucking problem. Like we get so much good content and we just don't know when the hell to stop.
Yeah, like we'll get somebody in and they'll keep it going for the most part. It's like, oh, son of a bitch. Looks like I'm not going to the store right now. Let me sit back down at this desk.
I literally
It's really no option.
I
always run into some shit. It's like, oh.
If somebody wants to come in and just navel gaze the whole 6 hours, I'm okay with that too. I don't discriminate when it comes to that. To no oxygen. It's like I'm ready to hear what the internet manosphere has to say.
But the thing about No Oxygen that people don't realize is it's not really just Manosphere. It's basically a bipartisan show for anybody to join, Manosphere, non-Manosphere for the most part. And you basically just debate out your You basically just debate out. Now on the other hand, the table flip is actually Manosphere only, Manosphere people only. So usually I name it based on who's on the show, who's not on the show. If you know what I mean. So if I'm going to have a good example, if I'm going to have AJ, Psych Soap, and Freaky Jersey Tales is a good example. Basically, it would be called It would be called Table Flip. If I'm going to have like Lonely _ Penny Proud, McHenry Cruiser, and we'll just say AJ again, it's going to be called No Auction. So Table Flip is for Manosphere only. No Auction is for non-Manosphere and Manosphere people altogether for the most part. That's how I basically classify what the name of the show is going to be for the most part. Because I know a lot of people are confused. Huh?
You got to get AJ in here because did you see his last? Speaking of AJ,
Yeah.
did you see his last live stream yesterday?
Yeah, I know. He's a trip. AJ is a trip.
Dude, let's talk about him for a second. That
AJ,
is a
you want in?
trip.
Since we all
Get
voted
in
on
here.
you coming in, dang. It's like
AJ, get in here. I want to talk about your tech real quick.
I'm sending you a stream through Discord. I mean, a thing through Discord. Because I actually like his setup, especially when he's picking on that girl. Talk about she trying to holler at me on a low key. He had his laptop computer on her and shit.
I love
She
that.
wants
I
the
like
D.
his title.
Yes, he wants the D. I like his titles too. This is crazy as hell.
Exactly. Dude,
His titles are
AJ's
a
got
trip.
it.
His titles are a
AJ's got
trip.
it hooked up, man.
Yeah, his titles are a trip. Like I thought my titles were crazy. I'm like, oh god, we're about to get kicked off of YouTube messing around with the Cartel Princess with this one. I think the funniest one she came up with was
You guys got to look at the thumbnail for the live stream right now. It says it's just our three avatars, and then Valhalla's comment saying, "Yes, they can track that."
yeah, that's Avatar. Yes,
That's
they can track
basically our live stream in a nutshell.
Yes,
Yeah.
they can track that.
They can track
Yes,
that.
they can track that. They can track that very well.
Oh,
Very
that's funny.
true.
That's funny.
Very, very true.
It's nothing. They could track that. They can still track that.
Too funny.
Is AJ jumping on?
This is forum. This is not a debate, and I don't think AJ's jumping on.
Oh, too bad.
But yeah, it's
I would have.
and we're
liked to
basically only
hear-
talking tech anyway. So you're not talking tech. You just want to talk bullcrap. So I'm not inviting you on. You can talk bullcrap on No Ox shit, but we're not talking bullcrap on forum.
Yeah, not the stage for that.
Yeah.
I would say, and in the comment, like in the live chat of this video, but I mean, it's not like we need to air that out. That's why I haven't really been responding to that kind of to the chat really, because it's not. I don't deem it appropriate.
Yeah.
Given the.
It makes the chat more
See,
interesting, I guess. And that's the thing.
Here's the thing.
And the funny thing about that, and I'm about to touch on that because, like, I know what you're about to
Go
say,
ahead.
Double App, but
Go ahead.
I was gonna say because I remember when Freaky Jersey Tales asked me, why do you have him in the live stream? And I go, because he makes for interesting viewing for the most part. That's the only reason why I have him in the live stream. I don't have him in the live stream for any other thing besides the fact that he makes for interesting viewing and everybody likes laughing at him, just like you're laughing at him right now. And I'm talking about Low and the Underscore. The only reason why I have him in there is because he makes for interesting viewing and people like laughing at him. And that's just the cold hard truth when it comes down to it. Like people literally laugh at Lonely Underscore. Not because of what he says, it's basically his actions and how he interprets things. They just laugh at him. And that's the reason why I have Lonely Underscore in the chats for the most part. And it's funny because like I've never really said this out loud till now, and it's like since we want to be honest and stuff like that, we're going to be black pill today because yeah, that's the only reason why I have Lonely Underscore actually in the chats because he says interesting stuff that makes people scratch their head and make people want to laugh at him. There you go. Now I'm being honest.
Brutal. Fucking brutal.
Like, I'm just being
Dude,
honest now.
I mean, straight up lonely. You see how you threw up a 90%. That's just you just know that's facts. Yeah, right. Come on. 90% of the time we've been talking about you. So we haven't talked about single board computing, how they get in the middle of you and your Wi-Fi, how you want to have a buffer. We haven't been talking about security or anything like that. Dude, where do you pull these figures out from?
Yeah, I know, right?
Your
and if you want me to say it to your face,
self-importance-
bend over and pull down your pants, and I'll say it to your face.
your self-importance,
Yeah, he's entitled. It's just entitlement for the most part. It's all it really is.
it's
like
too
I said,
amplified.
it's basically look. I look at it like this. Look, dude, we get you were raised by a single mother. I get that. I feel bad for you because you were raised by a single mother and you didn't have the proper guidance. I will say that, but this isn't a place for that. So, yeah.
Right. You notice nobody on a panel here is arguing with each other.
Yeah.
The
And
three
that's the
of us
thing.
are basically
And the sad
all
part
on the
about
same
that, this
page.
live stream was not 90% about you. It was actually more about the computers than it was about you. Then
Right.
most of that was actually about Maroons and Mesquite people. The rest of that was about something else, and only about what like 10% of it was about you.
Well,
Yeah,
now it's
I would say
becoming
about
about him,
10% of
so
if
it's
that,
just
because you basically made it about you, about the way you did all these comments for the most part.
so
I know
moving on,
I'm not using
moving on,
female tactics
moving
again.
on,
I'm being honest. Like
moving on, moving
you like
on,
honesty, don't you? And that's the
moving
thing I love
on.
about honesty.
He's
Everybody
using that tactic, that female
everybody loves
tactic on
honesty.
us, right?
Everybody loves honesty and tell us about them. That's
Well,
my exact
he,
quote for
dude,
everything.
lonely. Why are you looking for attention, bro? Why are you seeking that attention like that?
He's always seeking
Come
attention.
on, think about that, lonely. You got to be the one that's always constantly commenting. So this ain't about you. We're done with the live stream. Anybody have any questions on the tech?
Anybody have any questions on tech?
All right. So I guess that's good. We're done.
Yep, we're done.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. We really appreciate you listening in. Your questions are absolutely important. So if they have anything to do with single board computing or how to protect yourself from outside hacking and that sort of thing to a certain degree, we're covered on the next streams. So save your questions. We're going to have a question and answer section on the next tech session, which will probably be, I want to say, Tuesday of next week, if scheduling allows.
I'm for it. Yeah, we should do this. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds like a good time to do it. Yeah, I'm already rolled. Yeah,
Oh, he rolled. Damn.
He's like, oh,
He
fuck
jumped.
this shit.
He
I'm out.
bounced.
he's like, fuck this shit. I'm out. It's like,
no, you know what? He's got money to make. That's what he's
yeah,
doing.
I think he's at work.
I'm
He's
very
not at
proud
work.
of
He's
him.
off today.
He's off today. No,
Yeah, he's
I'm
off today.
proud of him
Remember?
because you know what? He's been getting his shit together.
Oh yeah, he's been definitely
looking at
doing
it from
big
a
things
third
for the most
person
part.
perspective.
Yeah, he's been doing big things.
Oh my God, so proud of him as a young person. Lonely, you should be looking up to this guy.
Damn.
He has done more in chats and on live streams and things like that than I've seen you ever do. And you know what? I'm not saying that to in any way intimidate or put you down or anything like that. I want you to look up to him. That's what I'm saying. I want you to use Yam as a role model. And the reason for that is because I'm very proud of what Yam does. So seeing that as a third person perspective, that's a good role model for you, bud.
What's up, Psych Soap? I'll send you a text message, Psych Soap, to ask you if you want in on Saturday. You always showing up late, pimp. I'll send you a text message, pimp, to ask you what your free time is, if it's Saturday or Sunday. Because if it's Sunday, I'll pretty much do another show on Sunday, and I'll just invite other people, and I'll just do another show for the most part. But no auction would be on Tuesday. I mean, not Tuesday. Damn, no auction would be on Saturday, and I'll just have table flip on Sunday. If that's how we end up doing it. If you can't get in on Saturday, I'll just basically have it on Sunday. So just let me know. I'll send you a text message now, Psych Soap. Saturday for sure? Okay. What time is good for you? For the most part. Yeah, so, hey.
Mm-hmm.
You got a 3-day weekend. Holy shit. Aren't you special?
Nice. 3-day weekends, always good.
And the thing I love about people the most for that always talk the most stuff is they say they got their own, but they work. But they have their own, but they work. But they can't control their schedule, but they have their own. What? It's like, like, that makes no sense to me when you say you got your own. I mean, I understand you got a job, but like, if you don't have control of your schedule, you really don't have your own. And that's one thing I've always been able to say when I did work in the U.S. I've always had control. 5 p.m. 5 Eastern. Okay, so I started at 5 Eastern then. The one thing I can say about that is, like I've always said, I live my life. My schedule has always been based around. What you say?
Go ahead. That's going to break 5 Eastern is going to break. That's going to be this Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Push it to 6 if possible.
Well, we'll still be going at that point.
Oh, awesome. Then that's good.
Yeah, we'll still be going at that point.
Good.
But the thing I've always noticed.
I'll be jumping on later.
Yeah. All right. But the thing is, though, the thing I've noticed about that is when people say that, it's like they don't have control over their schedule. And
all right, sorry, I had to get off for a second. But I'm back.
And the sad part about that is, no matter how many excuses you use, if you don't have control of your schedule and you don't have control of anything in your life, you really don't have any control at all. Because I've always said this: I live my life based on a pure Vita lifestyle for the most part. So if my schedule, if work doesn't meet my schedule, I'm not doing it. I'm not applying for the job, and nor am I taking the job, because my job has to meet my schedule for the most part. So if I can't get the job that I want, then I'm not taking the job. And that's always how I operated, because I've never been hard up for money, and I never actually needed money that bad to actually work for somebody.
Well, another thing you got to think about is the lifestyle that most people live. They try to, I mean, I guess their personality reflects the lifestyle or the level of commitment to the things that they really truly desire at the end of it.
Yeah, because I remember
that if you really want to cut back and live more minimally, you can do that and then save more money, and that's in the long run that'll help you so that eventually you won't have to depend so much on learning from other people, and you can really step into your own as a human being. Because the moment you start working for somebody else, then it goes, all of your dreams go out the window basically, or you can basically, people can pry into your life and then take advantage of you by just sheer fact that you don't have a set schedule, or you don't have a schedule that represents you as being free. You have a schedule that basically is ruled by somebody else.
Yeah, which means you're working. You're basically working to live.
Yeah, I mean,
living to work in that case.
I can't be bragging about something that I don't have. Essentially, like
I've noticed, like any of the jobs that I have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
I was just gonna say, like, I can't be going my own way if I don't have, a certain level of. I can be going my own way, but I can't be the quote unquote the group identity of it, because I just don't have any of those shared experiences, positive or negative. Like, I'm going my own way, but I can't go their own way. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like the thing is, like, what I've noticed when it comes to personality wise, like, I can't see myself working with a group, no matter how much I like them. Now, don't get me wrong. What I said about that whole entire thing, if you like your job, like my grandfather said, if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life because you love your job. That's good. Actually commend people who actually love their jobs and love their careers, because if you love your job, you technically will never be stressed at work because you basically do what you do. But for people who actually go to the same job and complain all the time, dude, get another job. In the famous words of Benny Siegel, when he said he's complaining about his wife, he said, "Motherfucker, why not change my wife?" Ignorant bastard laughing like, fuck the rap shit, But like real shit. Like, if you hate your job that much, change your job. Use your job as a springboard to get a better job for the most part, and that's exactly how I look at it. Because I hate this. Because like when I worked at the hospital, that's the first thing I used to hate hearing people say, and this kind of goes into what you said about the whole entire your lifestyle reflects your personality and stuff like that. Because like I'll have people that come in and they'll complain about their whole damn job, just complain about their whole damn job, but they're at work. Like, well, why are you here?
It doesn't matter what you're doing in your personal
life. Why are
life,
you here? Why don't you quit? Well, I kind of need this job. Well, how about you apply for another job that you like? Damn, and quit bitching all the damn time. And the sad part about that is, the sad part about that I hate is like when people do that shit, it's just very annoying and it makes for a very, very bad work area or workspace or
It's
work
terrible. It
environment
would
for the
like
most
drive
part.
somebody to insanity working
Yeah,
working
like it
around
makes
those
me
people.
like, and the sad part is I work in a lab, so I can shiv somebody very quickly and probably get arrested. But yeah, but even when
Yeah,
now I
that's true.
don't though. But like it's just the fact that look, you can't complain about your job if you don't like your job. Get a different job. But then I also work with the same people. This one goes under what Brianne was saying about like people you could tell their lifestyle based on their personality, stuff like that. You got people that actually work. They make a decent amount of money. They work full time. They work overtime. Some of them make about as much money as me, if not more than me. But somehow, some way, they never have enough money when payday rolls around. Their favorite quote is, "It doesn't really matter. By the time it goes in my account, it's going out my account." Like, what the fuck are you doing with your money?
Mm,
For it to be go leaving your account as soon as it gets there. That lets me know that the
yeah.
person's living paycheck to paycheck and or
Yeah,
living above their
paycheck to
means.
paycheck. Exactly.
Or, you know what the other one is? How
Yeah.
about rushing to spend the money before the bills get it?
Yeah, literally. That too. I hate when people do that. Well, I
What
ain't
the
got no money for
fuck?
my bills. I
Yeah.
bought this new
Oh,
I
look, I
bought this
got
new
this
car,
deal.
or I
It's
bought this new
40%
purse, or
off.
I bought this new this, and now you ain't got
Uh,
no money for your bills and shit. It kind of reminds me of the black chicks from the hood. Rent only what like 75, 25, $75, and she 2 months behind on rent.
Yeah.
What? What? Like, 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 think about that stuff. Like, how are you behind
yeah.
on rent when your rent's only like $25 or $75 a month?
Oh my god.
And it's just stuff like that just blows my mind. Do you have people? Do you have the women at work that pay for all this, their children to do all this shit that they can't afford, and they complain about it? And like, and I'm looking at them like, well, why do you have your children doing it if you can't afford it? Well, I want my child to have everything. Well, you don't have the job, so your child can have everything. How about them apples? And it's stuff like that just agitates me with people. I call it like living. I call it like a Toyota. Driving having Mercedes taste on a Toyota budget for the most part. And it just cracks me up. Like, how you live a Mercedes lifestyle on a Toyota budget? Because I've always said, like, if you don't get me wrong, like, I ain't got a problem with buying a Mercedes, but I actually have the budget to buy a Mercedes, but I don't own one. I'd rather buy this Toyota over here and stick with the quality for the most part. I have the budget to do it, but why do it if I don't really need it? Because I look at it like this: all that money that I could be spending on this lovely car or this lovely extra overdone house or anything like that, I could be spending on my children or myself. It's just facts.
True. Or if
Like
you don't have
all this
children, you
money.
just
Think about
spend
it.
it on
All this money
yourself.
that you're spending. If you're a single mother and you have one child, that money that you spent on that Escalade or that Mercedes or that Lexus or wherever the fuck you just bought
Yeah.
could have been to actually putting your child through a private school and bettering your child's future. But people don't think like that. They want to get these new cool stuff, and they spend all this money,
Yeah.
and now your child's suffering because he's going to this public school now. No knock against public schools. There are some public schools that actually have very, very good ratings and do just as good as actual private schools. But most times, those schools tend to be in white neighborhoods, unfortunately. They're very rarely in
Yep.
a black neighborhood.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I grew up. I grew up in a suburb.
Yeah, and it's sad, but it's so true. Like, instead of sending your child to get this education, you can actually save that money that you're spending on this Lexus and send them to a private school. Or save this money that you're spending on a thanks
Yep.
AJ for that. Or save that money for what you're spending on the Escalade or wherever the heck kind of car you aspire to buy. You could send them to like a private school, or you can pretty much better your child's life, or you can have more money to send your children to all these activities instead of trying to show up at those activities, barely making it, trying to stunt. It's just
Yeah, like
facts.
people will work. Yeah, people will like literally at the bottom of the totem pole, basically like work 40+ hour weeks just so that
Actually,
they
no, Lonely
can.
underscore. Actually, no, on Lonely underscore. Mount Lebanon High School actually has a better. Mount Lebanon School District actually has the best rating even over private schools, and that's just facts. Upper St. Clair's second, right behind them, and they beat
As long as
all
it's just
private.
not super left, it can be like a decent school.
Yeah, and it
As
doesn't
long
have to
as
be
it's
the
not
best school,
extreme
but like I
far
know if
left.
you actually live in a district like school district like Mount Lebanon's or your Upper St. Clair's, you pretty much have the best school district in the whole entire state for the most part. Even over private schools. It even ranks better than private schools for the most part, which is actually pretty funny and sad. Because I know a lot of people that moved to Mount Lebanon just so they can send their kids to Mount Lebanon High School.
Distinction. It shows you that that's not the variable that taints it, really, whether or not it's public or private.
Because charter schools actually suck, if anything. I know public schools that are better than charter schools. That's just facts. Like matter of fact, there's a public school on the Hill District that is better than any other charter school known to man that's ever been built.
Mm-hmm.
But they're talking about closing it because they don't have the funding for it. But it's one of the best performing black schools in Pittsburgh. But they're talking about closing it because they don't have the money to fund it. It's not underperforming. All the kids get great grades, but they want to close it. Think about that.
I mean, who knows what that could mean? Maybe they just don't have them. Maybe they just have spent it in doing dumb shit, so now they don't have the money.
Yeah, probably that too. Or they just don't want to allocate it towards a black school for the most part. Is my thoughts on that. They just don't want to give it to the black school. They'd rather give it to everybody else but the black school who's actually doing good and actually turning out very good kids. And the sad part about it, this school's so good, they call it an academy. They no longer call it like school. They call it an academy. So it's actually putting up good numbers. So there are good public schools out there that actually do good things for their children. Unfortunately, the local and state governments don't really see it that way, and they get rid of them, or they say we don't have the funding, or it needs to get renovation and we can't afford it, so we got to shut it down. Meanwhile, this school's brand new and it doesn't need any renovation. But somehow, some way, you got to shut it down because you can't afford it because it needs renovations. No. Well, they'll say my favorite excuse they use for actually shutting down public schools now is, well, it has asbestos in it. That school was built after asbestos was taken out. How does it have asbestos in it? Explain this to me. Like they didn't use asbestos when they built this school.
Out lying?
Yeah, they literally lie to shut down schools now, in public schools now. And it's sad. And the sad part about it, all the poor performing public schools, they keep them open. The poor performing public schools that happen to be in black neighborhoods, they keep them open. They keep them open for years to come. All the good performing black public schools, they don't have the funding for it conveniently. But they have the funding for all these schools that are turning out like maybe 13% of them graduate from school, maybe 15% of them graduate from school. They got perfect funding for that. But all the ones where they turning out like a 99 or a 98% graduation rate, they don't have the funding for that. Or it has asbestos in it. Or we can't afford to fix it.
In a white community? If it was in like a
they would throw the money out in a heartbeat.
It was majority. If it was majority, like minorities, they would close it.
Oh, they would close it. If it was let's just put it this way: if Mount Lebanon was in the Hill District, it'd be closed. If Mount Lebanon was in the Hill District, it'd be closed right now. It's just facts. It's the nature of the beast. That's how they roll.
Either that, or it'd be converted into an academy and like bought out.
Yeah, it'll be bought out, then turned into some stupid building. Basically, it'll be like a Boys and Girls Club or something stupid like that. For the most, I mean, don't get me wrong, Boys and Girls Club is pretty good, but yeah,
I love Boys and Girls Club, man. That's a great place for kids to go, like for after school programs. Gives them something to do, like take them out to the pool or whatever, monkey bars. Up to the thing. Oh man, I took so many notes.
That's the cold hard truth about a lot of the public schools that actually do well, and they'll say, "Well, it was an underperforming school," but almost all the kids graduated from that school. How is it underperforming? But you got this school Peabody still open, that only turns out 15% graduates, but that's perfectly fine, and that's not underperforming. How? It only has 15% graduation rate, and half the people either drop out. Most of the people either drop out or don't make it. That school could be open for years to come, but we have to shut down this Hill District school because. And it's sad. It's sad that
it's not visible. Peabody is not as visible to somebody on the left who's reading about, inclusion. So the only schools that they really know how to target are ones that are within their borders. So they go after the ones that are easy targets.
Yeah, and the sad part about it is Peabody would be the easiest target for you to pick on. Like, why are you throwing money at failure? Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people that came out of Peabody that did good with themselves, but that's a small percentage of people. When you can actually send them all to this school over here, and they all can come out of the school. You see what I'm saying? Why send them over to this school when only 15 or 13% of the people are going to graduate? We can send them over to that school where 90, 95 to 98 to 99% of the people can actually graduate from the school. Tell me, where's the logic in that? And it's just stuff like that just blows my mind when I hear people do and say that type of stuff, or when I see a local government shut it down. And the sad part about it is we can't even blame this on the right, because Pittsburgh is ran by a Democrat. Let that shit sink in. And every single time that a school shut down, it's under a Democrat's watch. Let that sink in. So you can't say the left is here for you if they're. You can't say the left is here for you when they're shutting down your schools, all the schools that's actually doing well, and leaving you with the schools that are doing poorly. Let that sink in. Let that just roll around in your head for a little bit.
Yeah, everybody always practices Betsy DeVos, but it's like, at least.
Well, Betsy DeVos, that's a whole other animal. I basically just crushed the whole entire charter school thing because they don't do that well. They do way poorer than public schools. And the sad part about that, that's not even saying a lot, because a lot of the public schools actually suck. That actually does better than them. So for you to actually do better than a public school, you literally have to for you to do poorly and poorer than a public school, let's put it that way, you literally have to have a low bar.
It's hard to do right. I mean, at least charter school, there's
money and funding going into that shit. Like
funding, yeah. And if you still
suck at what you do, think about that. How do you suck at what you do? You got all the best teachers, and you still suck at what you do.
Supposedly, but I mean, you could argue that.
they literally take off. The sad part about that is the charter schools. The charter schools, they literally take teachers. They literally take teachers from the public schools that are doing well, that have very good testing scores and stuff like that, and they try to drag them to the charter schools. And those teachers end up being Those teachers end up being like poor fits for those charter schools for the most part.
Oh yeah, they don't know how to teach those.
Well, they can teach those kids, but the thing is, though, the kids that are in those charter schools aren't really there to learn for the most part. They're just basically there for babysitting. It's basically a big ass daycare for the most part, for adolescents, adults, and kids for the most part. That's all a charter school really is. It's a big ass daycare. And it's sad, but nobody wants to see that, and nobody really understands that. All charter schools are basically like charter schools are basically equivalent to kinder care these days. Kinder care, or what's the other famous one? What's the other famous one? It's like basically like kinder care for the most part. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
Like Dash? Oh no.
Yeah, or Dash. It's basically a big ass daycare, a big chain daycare for the most part. A chain daycare that can be seen anywhere throughout your state for the most part is equivalent to what a charter school is anymore these days. It's cool that they get computers. That's nice. Okay, that's cool. 9 times out of 10, they probably have to turn it back in. Some charter schools get to keep them, but
oh yeah, we were talking about data too. I mean,
you're still turning out poor excuses for children now.
I'm probably going to go
think
to
about
hell
the data rights for those all those daycare centers. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I'm probably going to go to hell for this comment.
I got lighter and gasoline. Let's go.
So, being out east, you see different daycares like the ones you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
When I came out west, I didn't expect this at all, right? But there's actually a daycare out here that's called Come On.
Really?
Yeah.
Come On. Oh, wow.
Oh,
it just called Come On. That's sad. Like, you ran out of names or things to call it. You got to call it Come On.
Come On. And it's spelled with a C-U-M, or a K-U-M.
That sounds wrong on so many levels. Spelled with K-U-M. That's the wrong come right there. They couldn't spell out come altogether like C-O-M-E. Like they couldn't spell that out. They had to use it.
It probably cost them too much for signage, like this. Like
literally,
the signage charge.
I thought it was just like one place, but then I saw it in a different city. There's like 4 of them.
It's a franchise. It is.
It's expanded.
Wow.
Exploded.
Wow. Just wow,
it's,
dude.
it's called Come On. I know exactly. That's what I said. That's why I had to break
FBI,
it.
Come on, though. Really? Come on, though. Like,
I just, like I said, I'm probably gonna go to hell for this comment, but hell, I had to say it.
is it one word or two words?
I
Hey,
don't know.
hey. You're not the only person that's hung themselves.
You've seen it, right? I mean, have you not?
Yeah,
seen
I've heard.
Ian?
I've seen that same daycare. No, daycares. It's like weird. The further west you go, the worse the worse the daycares get.
Yeah.
It's like,
Come
yeah,
on.
like, and then,
As a parent, why would you take a child?
that looks. I mean, I think there's the come and go, which is like the gas station. Like, I can see the application of that because it's like,
Yeah,
it's a
and go.
quick way of spelling that word, which is quick because it's a gas station. You got to be in and out. But like a daycare,
Come on.
I wouldn't even want to
Come
send my
on.
children to that
Come
daycare
on.
based on the name. Like, the
They
name
probably-
alone makes me
they
not
probably
want to send.
thought, no, they're geniuses.
Like-
They're marketing geniuses, actually.
They're not marketing geniuses. They'd be marketing
Yeah, 'cause
geniuses.
they're like-
It'd be a
'cause they're
market
like-
genius. It'd be market genius if it was like a strip club or a
Come
gay
on,
club or
strip
something like
club.
that. That's marketing genius.
There's like a genius.
That's marketing
Well, it's
genius,
like
but it's not a
people-
marketing
parents-
genius if it's your children. Because
Parents
like
hate the title
I'm thinking
so
you're
much,
going to
they'll
come on my
literally be
children.
Like,
Like I'm sitting there thinking there's somebody literally in
I
there
gotta-
jacking off on top of my children's forehead and shit. Like, come on now.
Man, no way. No way.
That's the
And
first thought that comes to my mind. Like, dude, I want to beat somebody
I'm
up now. Like,
surprised. I'm surprised Yam is sticking up for it because I just got done telling everybody what a good role model you were and everything, and now here you come back talking about
it's something obscene. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not an angel, by any
Come
stretch
on,
of the
kid. Come
imagination.
on. Come on. Come on.
like,
I know. I gotta be a better representative.
why would you send your child to some place called Come On?
Did you
And
look
it's
it up?
spelled
Did you
Come
find it?
On.
Did you find it?
I'm not even gonna look it up because I'm scared to look it up because I be trying to. Oh man,
You're thinking about it. Now you're thinking about it.
no, I'm not thinking about
No,
it. I'm trying to forget that shit now. That's ridiculous. It's literally spelled like come as in
Pretzel.
come and on. Like, really? That's what I'm thinking. Like somebody's literally under like just jacking off on my
Logo.
child's forehead
Ew.
or jacking off on them while they're sleeping and taking a nap or something like that. Like, come
You know
on now,
what?
no.
That's
Nasty.
No pun intended for that, but come on, really?
that's funny.
Come
'Cause
on.
When I saw the one and only video on Lonely's web channel, whatever, when he was dancing on top of one of the grave, whatever. First of all, I'm thinking to myself, you really want to fuck with spirits, right?
Dude, I thought that too. I was like, all this stuff that I've ever all the stuff I've ever heard of, my friends of mine saying like, yeah, go to a cemetery and like do this. It's like, wow,
It's a very bad
he must
idea.
be up on that. Like I thought
Very
that
bad idea.
Lonely was like into
I actually
it,
agree with you
or-
on that one, Lonely _ You deserve to lose your kids if you send your children to a daycare called Come On.
Yep, on that one.
I agree with you on that one.
But
I thought that he was.
Mark that
I
on the
thought that
calendar.
was-
Mark that on the
just,
calendar.
just to help you visualize,
I'm not trying to.
when I see
Lonely
when I see that name,
no,
when I see that name, I think of Lonely on top of one of those grave, stones, jerking off.
come on,
Come on.
on a gravesite. Yeah, come on a gravesite. Yeah.
Like,
I'm
wow.
a good role model,
Like,
guys.
who comes up with only out there in the West? Because only in California.
Only in California.
Because like any other place, you couldn't come up with that shit. Because you couldn't do no shit like that in Pittsburgh because it's too conservative. Despite the fact that they
Come
always
to find
elect
out-
Democrats.
Come to find
They're
out,
too
it's like
conservative for that shit.
It's like
A sex trafficking ring and shit.
That
Come
run
to
it,
find out it's a sex trafficking ring.
No. It's a front. It's really owned by two Israeli dudes that like literally can level the entire California.
Right.
And they're like
or find out it's owned by the Chinese because we still own money, so we got to pay them back somehow, some way.
Yeah, pay us. Come on. Pay us.
Come on.
Come on.
Oh, you'll sell us this land? We'll make a preschool called Come On Now. Come on now.
Come on.
Just to rub it in.
Dude, anyone who dances on a gravestone is classified as a commie.
Yeah,
Oh
you're gonna have to
goodness.
take that one, man. You're gonna have to take that title.
Like, oh man, but
Would you
like
rather
I
have
just
a yeah?
yeah, because there ain't no
Might as
conservative
well throw
alive.
the might
There's
as
no
well might as well
conservative
dig it.
alive
Yeah,
that's actually doing that.
might as well dig the body up and then throw it in a snow pit if you're gonna stand
Right,
on
dude?
the thing that you used to you know to
Hell,
consecrate the
there's
body.
there's troops
Remember,
that are on the left leaning that don't disrespect graves like that.
That's
let's just
kind of
I
be
just
seen them
honest
actually.
here.
universal
I seen them
thing,
actually
yeah.
lay quarters on graves or dimes on graves. And for those of you, the dimes and quarters have a meaning for the most part when they lay them
Let's
on
be
there.
honest
Basically,
here.
I serve with the person. One is I serve with the person. One is I know the person. And the other one is I serve.
No,
I wasn't with
it's
the
not a
person, but I
tip
was
for a
close to the person.
service
Basically,
rendered in the previous life. It's not.
yeah,
It's actually it means something from a like military standpoint.
yeah. When they
When
place
you,
dimes and quarters on graves and stuff like that, it means I serve with the
first of
person,
all,
or I was
when
close to
you,
the person, or I never got to serve with the person, but I know of the person, or I'm
when
just paying
you
my
are,
respects to the person.
Pico, when you are in front of, when you are in front of someone who's dying, I don't know if you've ever been in front of someone who's dying. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you are in front of someone who is dying, you can feel the presence of the spirit there, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the last moments. And you can
Oh,
also
definitely.
feel the spirit passing on. So when you're there in the room, there is by no one, there's no way you can deny it.
Mm-hmm.
When you feel that life leave, you feel that life leave,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Sometimes
So
if
there's no denying that, number one. So next step is, okay, so if you're dancing on somebody's grave, let's look at the vocabulary and break down some of the terminology. Resting place, final resting place, being able to rest in the afterlife, like he is now resting peacefully. Those are all words that signify that that soul or that spirit wants to be left alone, right?
true story.
You go start stomping dirt or headstone and not know who it is or where that person, how that person died, or what unrest they may have, and you're startling them out of that rest or peacefulness. Not a good idea if you don't want bad things happening to you. Just saying, dude. Just saying.
Yeah, because bad things always happen to good people and
Yeah.
bad people, no matter what.
I'm
That's what they call it karma for a reason.
guys, I'm a beta male. I'm beta.
He's a trip.
Guys, I have to admit, after thinking about it for a while, I'm just so beta male because I actually
Why?
because I respect my elders and because I show my face online. So that makes me a beta. Deep beta.
Wow, interesting.
So it just goes to show.
Yeah. Sad part about that is I actually have a video coming up at like 12 midnight. That's going to be uploaded about the beta alpha and alpha betas for the most part.
And I guess I must be a beta too.
Well, yeah, I mean, you might as well put my face.
Watch the video and you'll find out if you are or not for the most part.
I feel like
you'll put my video. Yeah, put my face as in the description box as what classifies a beta.
The Cartel Princess, the Cartel Princess already has a picture picked out.
I just saw lonely beta.
Yeah. The Cartel Princess already has a picture picked out for it.
Here we go. Here's Jesse Lee Peterson for you. Ready? The Fallen State. Get your Fallen State T-shirt. Do you believe in God?
I love it, man. He cracks me up.
Amazing.
Right? And that's the funny thing about it. But like,
amazing.
Yeah, and it's just stuff like that that just makes you think and stuff like that. Because I don't know, it's kind of weird.
Good weed.
Listen to you. But yeah, like I always found it funny when it comes to stuff like that because it's kind of like how I say when people start yelling stuff or say they're smart when they're really not smart, they're basically just projecting themselves onto other people for the most part. The same goes for people who actually always yell that they're alphas and stuff like that. If you have to say you're alpha, dude, you're really not alpha. If you have to say that you're anything, you're really not that for the most part. You basically carry yourself in that manner because all alpha males in wildlife and in real life don't have to say that they're alpha. They just actually portray the alpha status for the most part, and you can actually look at them and go, "That motherfucker's alpha." And a lot of the people who claim that they're alpha, they usually fall into the beta category, or as my video is going to actually portray later, I call them the beta alphas. And that's just it. It doesn't matter what you believe or what you think you are or not. At you and how people look at you determines who you are and where you fall at in that hierarchy. And the neat thing about that is a lot of people fall between either the beta or the alpha.
Beta.
It's just facts. It's kind of like how everybody always says. It's kind of like how everybody always says, like, you know, their own perception is different from everybody else's perception of them. Well, except for mine, because I'll tell you in a minute I'm a dick, and I'll admit I'm a dick, and people around me will let you know I'm a dick. So, like, everybody pretty much knows I'm a dick.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Yeah, but like it's just stuff like that that makes it so. And I'll admit that in a heartbeat. Yeah, I am a dick. My personality is a dick. And the sad part about it, like if you press me long enough, I'll tell you, yeah, I'm a condescending prick too. It's like I'll tell you that too. Where do you think my daughter got it from? My 11 going on 12-year-old daughter got it from. Like, even though I always talk about I want to knee her in the chest and throw her in the bushes since she was a boy, she got it from me. She's a condescending prick just like her father. So the thing about it is, like,
you're right, lonely underscore. Most men are betas. Most guys are betas.
And that's just fact.
Mm-hmm.
And the sad part about it is, like, the neat thing about being a beta is there are some times where a beta can actually be an alpha in certain circumstances where the alpha male is not really the alpha anymore. The beta will actually pick up and actually be the alpha, which is actually sad. And it's so true because you also got to take consideration, alpha males are situational based on their situation.
Yeah. That's more common in a place where it's like there's less cultural pressures is for a beta male to be considered alpha, because there's not as many checks in place to keep that.
Well, no, because the sad part about that is the best place to actually describe that would be actually at school.
Well,
there's a bunch of cliques.
But then
the sad part about it, the valedictorian ain't the valedictorian ain't the alpha. The valedictorian's the person that knows all the shit. Matter of fact, when you actually start failing in your class, who do you go to? You don't go to the alpha. You go to the educated. You go to the educated lane.
That's crazy, right? I mean, there are so many ways to. There are so many ways to analyze that I can't even right now. I can't even. It's too deep.
Yeah, and I'm always
because think about it.
And the sad part about it is, even when I'm being deep, I'm still esoteric, but I'm just honest.
Confused. Okay.
Yeah, you're. Yeah.
Well, no, yeah.
I'm very esoteric when it comes to things.
Think about it. You don't. Yeah, like people who are valedictorian. I mean, they are alpha from they dominate a certain hierarchy, like a competence hierarchy. But those people aren't guaranteed to procreate.
Well, the sad part about it is a lot of times they are. Because the thing that people don't realize, the thing that people don't realize about them, the thing that people don't realize about that type of stuff, they say, well, all these alpha males and all these stupid people are breeding. However, all the smart people are still breeding too, but they breed differently. It's kind of like what I told you about the one family who came to me and paid me a decent amount of money so I can donate sperm so they can pretty much breed out disaffects in their family for the most part. There are smart people that actually still do that, and they still breed. And they want somebody who's actually very intelligent, but they want somebody who has the physical characteristics to play sports for the most part. And I happen to fit that actual mold for the most part. And I happen to fit that mold for the most part. Like I'm a very physically dominant person, but I'm actually a very intelligent person too. I hardly ever really talk about it, and I hardly really say anything about it, but I am. Like I said, anybody that can get on Mensa is a pretty intelligent person. I mean, and like my score on Mensa makes me scoff at the minimum score. Like, you let that person on? That's literally my score on Mensa. I can actually scoff at the minimum of Mensa. Like, oh God, you let him on?
How do you get it? How do you apply for Mensa? I don't want to because I feel like it's like just another construct. But how would somebody? They
It is a
basically
construct, though. It is a
They
construct.
basically approach you, right? Or you
No, you actually go and apply
and then
for it. You go apply for it and actually do the necessary paperwork and stuff like that, and the necessary things to jump through the necessary hoops. And they have one in like what? They have one in. I think they have one in almost every country. And the United States has two that you can actually register for. And one, the minimum score is like 130, and the other one, the minimum score is like 140. I think it is. Like the minimum IQ score to get on is what it is, but the thing about it that makes it so crazy is like if you start scoring very high, people start looking at you differently. The higher your score, the different people look at you. And the sad part about it is a lot of times that's where a lot of the smart people actually meet and actually end up having kids. Because the top thinkers actually come out of Mensa. The world's greatest thinkers, the world's top thinkers come out of the various Mensas. And the thing about it is a lot of those people only procreate with the people that are Mensa qualified. So it don't matter if you're Chad. If you don't benefit that person intellectually, they're not going to breed with you because they deem you uncouth and not on their level for the most part, if you know what I mean. So when I hear all these people talk about these Chads and Tyrones and these alpha males and alpha bucks and the beta bucks, the sad part about it is if you actually are registered to Mensa, you're only date people who are registered to Mensa for the most part because you look at things much differently and you view life much differently for that reason. Because you just don't want to breed. You don't want to breed out to somebody who ain't worth a damn for the most part. And it's sad to say it that way, but it's so true. Like, they're not going to breed with somebody that's not with Mensa. You either got to be with Mensa or you got to basically take an IQ test to prove that you could be with Mensa for the most part. And it's sad, but it's so true. So when I hear all these people always talk about like all this, the looks and stuff like that, and you got people over here that look sexy and are very, very intelligent breeding, that just blows my mind when I hear these people, because that lets me know that either A, these people know nothing about all the smart, intelligent people over here, or B, you live in a bubble. Or you just want to be negative all the daggone time for the most part. So when I hear people say that in the manosphere, it's like, really, dude, really? That's what you believe? And the sad part about that is I can literally tell you I can't even tell you how many people at Mensa. I can't even count on all the people's fingers in this chat how many people at Mensa are actually married to people who actually qualified at Mensa or have a high IQ. So these looks don't always matter for the most part. And I keep trying to tell people that, but people don't want to listen. Like, well, no, Tico, it's the science in the face. Okay, well, that person's face that has nothing to do with the fact that, this woman over at Mensa just banged another person from Mensa and they have children or happily married. And that's just the thing. Like, looks don't always matter. Looks don't always win the day.
Well,
it depends on, and the sad part about it is it's kind of like
if you need to get a job, you might use the same analogy, right? Like, I got to look the part, but chances are you getting that job is a result of your connections and who you know.
Yeah, who you know for the most part, so or your personality.
It's really not how you look. It's really not how you look. How you look.
There could be 7 other people. It's basically like this
part of how you get the job. But the deeper part to how you got the job is somebody lets you know that there's an opening, whether it be the employer or your friend or a person who supports you, that lets you know, hey, try this avenue, you might find some results. Or you get a lead and then you personally just go out and follow that lead and you get yourself the job. But in the end, it was because of that person in your life that reached that lifeline, that reached out and grabbed you and said, hey, it's time to go. It's time to, or here's something to pay attention to.
Yeah. And the sad part about that, when like the people who do that, like it's basically like the Slim Shady, like when they did the real Slim Shady, well, the real Slim Shady stand up. You basically are fitting the part, so you can actually go in and actually compete with everybody else that look and act like you for the most part. And if you don't have anything that stands out from the rest of them, you're probably not going to get that job, unless they need to fill a quota. That's the only way you're getting that job. And that's the cohort truth about reality in today for the most part. And the sad part about it is people always try to fit in with the crowd, fit in with the in crowd, or fit in with a certain crowd. Meanwhile, the more you fit in with a crowd, the more you lose your identity as a human being. Even though you say, I'm doing my own thing, but you're still carrying out Mark Jacobs' purse, just like that lady is carrying out Mark Jacobs' purse, and that person is carrying out Mark Jacobs' purse. You're basically doing the same damn thing everybody else is doing, but you're your own person. You're following culture. You're following pop culture for the most part. And the sad part about it is a lot of people do that. So
True,
my
yeah.
honest opinion of people who follow pop culture is anybody that follows pop culture or a trend are nothing more than betas.
Yeah, if you have any Nike shoes that cost at least $100 or more, you can't say that you're an individual.
You can't say you're an individual, especially if you own a pair of Nike Air Shocks or a pair of Jordans or a pair
you're
of
essentially paying to be
fucking
denigrated
$1 million shoes or $100 shoes or $500 pants because the rapper said it was cool to have. Think about that. And that's the thing that I've always said, and that's the thing that makes it so funny when I listen to people, and that's what makes it so funny. Like, you can't be something that you're not if you're following a trend. Like, if you ever look at my clothes aren't what they normally will wear in the United States. It's not like your Sean Johns or your Jordans or your anything like that. Basically, all my clothes are made either in India,
Timberlands.
Like I don't wear those. Oh no, I don't wear Timberlands.
Yeah.
Nothing against people who wear Timberlands, but I don't wear those. But like all my clothes are made in India, they're made in Costa Rica, or they're made in Costa Rica, India, or they're made in Colombia, or they're made in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
Like I basically know the lady or the person who stitched my clothes together intimately. Well, not intimately, I mean, but personally for the most part. I basically know the people who do my clothing. All the way down to the lady who measures me. So I can get clothing. And the sad part about that is it's crazy. Like how much people fall into culture or fall into pop culture, but want to claim they're their own person, but you're following the next high or the next big thing for the most part.
Well, I think the whole acronym thing is just was just developed as clickbait. So I think that it really got thrown out of proportion to what all the message is really about.
Like you're talking about MGTOW now, yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm talking about.
Well, the sad part about that is, if you were ever listening, nobody in this live stream is actually MGTOW. Red Pill at most, best, yeah. Red Pill at best, most. But we don't claim to be MGTOW, but we support MGTOW for the most part. Does that make us MGTOW? No. We support MGTOW. We support MGTOW 100%. It's that simple. And we will always support MGTOW. Everybody in this live stream would actually support MGTOW in their own way, shape, or form. Let it be psychological help, let it be physical help, let it be financial help. We back you 100% no matter what. And that's just what it is. So like all of us are pretty much, we would say we're MGTOW leaning, as they refer to me as. You're Adidas. Listen to you.
My Adidas.
But the thing about that, like, the thing about pop culture and stuff like that, it just bothers me because I never been one to follow it. Like even on my dress shirts where I got like the ties and stuff like that, they come from some Italian designer basically, and he's not a famous Italian designer. He's basically, you go to him personally for the most part, and not everybody has his stuff. Like I look for people who not everybody's rocking or wearing. And that's basically how I pick my clothes. If not everybody's wearing it, then I want to wear it. So every article of clothing that I own is from an off-brand or from an actual person that designs and has passion in designing and just doesn't want to make a quick buck. I support people like that. That's who I support. So you'll never see me with freaking something crazy on my logo. I'll always
Yeah.
support a small
Well,
brand.
I never like if you buy Nike, you're not really supporting that. I mean, you could say you're supporting Nike, but I mean that's basically just a big price tag just to make you feel like you're like following a trend and acting cool. You know?
And the sad part about Nike is the price of your shoe basically can pay for everybody who sewed your shoe together's salaries for a year. Who actually sewed them things together, because you're basically buying shoes from a sweatshop, just like Apple. You're basically buying a phone from a sweatshop. You pay all this money for an Apple phone that only costs what, like $250 to $300, maybe $300 to make max. You paying like $900, $800, $1,000, $1,200 for a damn phone that only set you back. That only set the company back like $200 or $300.
Yeah, I think that the shoes are one thing. I overheard somebody talking today. They were like, "Oh, did you hear those new shoes drop?" Or my friend really knows how to sell them, sell all those shoes. It's like drop so much money on footwear, things that touch the ground. I mean, you could spend money on something that's gonna protect your feet, obviously. But don't be buying into a trend just because these new ones, these twos, these threes look super fire. Oh my gosh, I gotta have
Loneliness Girl, don't pretend like you didn't know Psych Soap made content. We told you that he made content. I told you the type of stuff he made, and you said, I quote, "It's lame." That sounds like lame stuff, or girly stuff, or something along the lines of that.
Yeah, meditation. What you said. Yeah, metaphysics.
Yeah, meditation. Yeah,
get on that Psych Soap.
Yeah, and Psych Soap actually remember what you said about his channel too when he was in that last stream.
Have you heard of the Archangel Uriel? Flight boss, bitch. Goddamn. Flight boss, bitch. Goddamn. Wait. Flight boss, bitch. Goddamn. For sure. You're not listening to Mind of Terry's Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel. I'm here to carry out God doing the motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, we gonna get into the negative aspect of your zodiac sign. No, that's not.
I never watched that guy, but now I want to watch that guy.
Dude, he's literally got. He's like, if you're a fire sign, that means you deal in the thinking and the feeling of your emotional, conscious light being. He literally says some really crazy on point stuff from a metaphysics standpoint. He's got a lot of hot takes on the zodiac signs. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you tune in. Flight boss, the Archangel Uriel, shout out him. Yeah, but anyway,
I'm gonna definitely go check him out. God, now that you mentioned him, he sounds like he'd be funny to watch.
He is, because he take the whole topic.
What's up? With some
irony,
Screwhead in the house using his real name.
What up?
But yeah, it's just stuff like that just makes it interesting and makes it so that I don't know. It's just weird. I just watch people do the stupid shit. It's kind of like how I always said, the finished product of a pizza will only set you back $3.50. Pizza Hut will charge you $9, $11. Think about that.
For a delivery fee?
No, wrong person, Ramirez. That's you're thinking of Wigtal and the Wind. That's Over the Road Trucker. That was in the last stream. And MGTOW threads, true story. Buy silver and gold instead of buying Jordans.
Just facts all the time. Every time he's in the chat, he always just drops facts.
Yeah. Like thread. I'm actually happy when MGTOW threads show up because that nigga drops nothing but facts. And when I say nigga, that means that I don't care if you're black, white, Chinese, Puerto Rican, or Asian. You my nigga. That's all that matters.
I don't care if you're mestizo. I don't care if you're.
I don't care if you're Ramirez. You're still my nigga.
Yo, it's like something new what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm talking about, that flight boss. Air, goddamn.
Damn, he hit them high notes.
I'm saying you hit that way too suspiciously. Sounded kind of suspect there, Gam. Like,
hey, don't
but
make
yeah,
fun of me. I got a beautiful tenor voice. Ooh, yeah.
but yeah,
you never catch me. You never catch me going.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I usually refer to all the MGTOW brothers as, my nigga, or I'll say my nigga from another mother. Basically, you'll see me do that under You'll see me do that under Quiet Earp's channel a lot. What's up, my nigga from another mother? He'll go, oh, it's Tico again. I can't read that, Tico. You trying to get me in trouble? No, I'm just saying. What's up? Yeah, I do that a lot to them. Yeah, because they're literally my brother. That's I refer to most MGTOW brothers as my nigga, basically. What's up, my nigga?
Or you could call him your bro from another fro.
Yeah, true that too. Or my brother from another culture.
Put that shit under,
another culture. Yeah, there you go.
My brother from another culture. Yeah,
another
like
bush.
yeah, yeah. Like I refer even the white MGTOWs get caught off guard when I do that shit in their live streams. Like, oh, Tico, what's up? I can't say that word, Tico. You're gonna get me. You're gonna get me. You're gonna get me. Striked if I say that word. Like, I'm like, it's cool. Like, whatever. Like, I'm just like, I'm here. That's all. Because usually I'll come in, I'll say, "Ola, ola, what's ola, ola" to those, or I'll come in and I'll say, "What's up, my niggas?"
Ola, ola, yeah.
So like, you never know. You can never say that it's not me. You always know it's me for the most part when I roll up in the chat for the most part.
You know what? I got the newest acronym. You know how they say attention deficit disorder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I now want to term,
which I hate, by the way. I hate that.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make any sense to me when people say, "Oh, someone's got ADD." Not to shed, any shade on ADD or any of the medical crap that goes along with that. And just not picking on that, right? I'm just saying, when I hear that, when someone just throws it around too much, ADD, attention deficit disorder. Well, I now see why they're ADD. Lonely _, you've helped me figure that out. Thank you very much. He's always striving for attention, right? So he's
they're in a deficit, so they have to,
of attention.
It's like a bull economy.
Yes.
For attention.
Right, exactly.
Spend,
he's got an attention deficit. And I wouldn't call it a disorder, but he's got an attention deficit. So
dude, that's actually interesting. I never thought about it that way, Double I. It's interesting you bring that up.
I'm just saying.
I'm learning so much in this live stream. Literally so much.
I actually went to psychology school. That's actually an interesting way of looking at that. I wish somebody else in school would have actually said that shit. Like,
I'm just saying.
I didn't even think of that shit when I was in school. Holy shit! Like,
I see
that's actually you got me seriously thinking about this. You gonna have a nigga writing in the DSM and shit. Like, you gonna have a nigga writing in the DSM and shit. Like, Tico Tren entry.
No way. Don't steal that from me, man.
Yeah, Tico Tren entry via. I'll give you credit for it. I'll put your name down there for credit. But
Thank you.
But yeah, I'll put your name down there for credit. But if I do ever enter something, that's going to be it. Like, how do we know it's actually that and it's not this? But yeah, like, how do we know it's not attention this that? Well, I can't even say that. My English sucks. But yeah, disorder basically. Yeah, but yeah, it's like, how do we know it's not this basically?
I hold on. Can we really classify it under DSM for
it is disorder? I mean, it is. It's written in there.
Would it be think a disorder though?
Think about it. They got gambling, they got drugs, they got sex
addiction.
Yeah, they got
they even have
they got what they read
attention.
Matter of fact, they got obesity's in there too. Matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
I think this dude, I'm coining this attention deficit disorder, but they're in deficit of, not they don't have that much attention. They're just lacking attention from others.
You would probably have to reverse an acronym and say it
Dude,
Deficit
if
attention.
that's what ADD is, I have the complete
Yeah, you would have to
opposite.
say a deficit attention disorder.
Wouldn't that be funny if the original people who created ADD was like, this is what it means, but then everybody's like, no, that's not what it means. You don't have the attention. That's what it really means. But then it turns out this is actually what it really means.
Yeah,
That should be some
I believe
fucked up shit.
that's basically what it means. That's what attention deficit is. You basically don't have the ability to pay attention because your attention is at a deficit. It's basically anything that is at a deficit is the actual definition of it. Like, so if you don't have enough food on a line, using Yam as a good example because he works at a restaurant, you're at a deficit for your supplies for
Yeah,
the
like
most part.
it's not.
So
It's
in
not
all
necessarily saying things are bad right
that's probably
now,
what they
but
meant by that for the
if
most
you were
part.
to get, if you needed to pay attention for any long period of time, like if it got busy, say, in your mind, then it would all of a sudden run out. You would be putting yourself at a severe disadvantage.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked with
Basically.
Joseph Ramirez because pharmaceutical companies won't really let shit fly unless they can make money off of it. They'll pretty much pay off the Food and Drug Administration.
To sell,
yeah,
basically not methamphetamines, but a version of methamphetamines.
They sell the synthetic ones.
Kids. Yeah, it's like, and barbiturates too. I'm glad
They
I
actually
never
sell.
got
They
to
actually
take
sell the
any
real.
of
They
those.
actually sell the real. They actually sell the real stuff too in medications for the most part. But
I guess because since I have experienced that, I've actually been on those as a kid, and then they did turn me into a zombie, and then I basically had bad side effects. Like I would rub my face a lot, or I would kind of like tweak when I walk and stuff, and it's just like all for what?
And the sad part about that, the side effects.
Behavior.
If you ever notice, the side effects for drugs in the U.S. are always worse than what the fuck you got. If you ever noticed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I only have like a heart attack, or I only have like high cholesterol. May cause death. May cause paralysis. Like who wants this shit? May cause trouble breathing. Like what? Think about that. Like literally think about that stuff. Like think about that stuff. Like it's worse than what the hell you got for the most part. You can have diarrhea. It'll tell you that it could cause death, or it could cause paralysis, or it could cause all this stuff, or it may cause your kidney failure, or like, dude, why take the medicine if it's going to cause kidney failure or maybe death?
Right.
Like, and it's just stuff like that just blows my mind that people don't really pay attention to.
Talking crap about like marijuana, how about we just, since it's legal now, how about we just like compare the amount of marijuana related shootings to the amount of barbiturate related shootings that there are?
Hell, how about we compare the marijuana related deaths and shootings and murders and killings and accidental murders and car accidents to actual under the influence of like pharmaceutical drugs deaths and or shootings and or killings.
Yeah.
Don't want to do that because then you'll paint the pharmaceutical companies in a bad light if you did that stuff. A very bad light.
Yeah, I mean, but then with the drugs, or with the drugs for the kids and stuff, I just think it's being really dishonest as a administration when you have to when you realize you don't have the teachers capable of teaching certain students, so you bring in pharmaceutical companies to dumb the kids down so that you can teach them properly. It's just
I would not be shocked if that's the thing.
Like they can't just be like
because like they said, when public schools are basically teachers. Because like they said, public schools are basically
money, but I mean it's way different. It's way better than just like drugging a bunch of kids, lying to children.
Yeah, because like they said, public schools are basically made for people to work in factories for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
To be factory employees for the most part, or any type of labor where like you work in a factory type setting for the most part, which really sucks. But like, I wouldn't be shocked if that's the reason why they started introducing this stuff, because you want to control the kids, so now they got ADD. Well, how do you know they got ADD? How do you know if they just don't need to be active? How do you know if your teaching style sucks or not? And that's exactly how I always look at stuff. How do we know if your teaching style doesn't suck? You're trying to pass your teaching competency, your teaching incompetence onto these children by saying that they have a disorder or a deficit for the most part, which really sucks when you think about it.
Yeah. They criticize like your son, for example, for not being They criticize your son for not falling in line and blame you as a parent for their bad teaching practices.
For the most part, yeah. And the sad part about it is, like, I've seen this actually happen in a school before with Laszlo, where Laszlo would actually finish his work in under 5 minutes. Like, the test would be a 30-minute test, and Laszlo would finish it in 5 minutes. So that right there lets me know that school is either A, not capable of teaching Laszlo to the capabilities that he actually is, or B, like, that's a pointless school for my son to be in for the most part. And the sad part about that is, like, Laszlo used to get in trouble. Like, even if it wasn't a test, Laszlo used to get in trouble for helping other students understand the concept of how to do their work. Like, they try to label Laszlo as ADD. Meanwhile, he finished his work, and now he's trying to help his fellow students out. Like, he didn't help his fellow student with the test or anything like that. But like, if regular schoolwork, he would help his classmates with. And it wasn't like he was giving them the answers. He's basically helping them figure out he's basically trying to help them figure out how to do their work because their teacher wasn't explaining it to them in a reasonable manner for students to actually learn for the most part. And Laszlo used to get in trouble like, well, he's disruptive. He's out of his seat. He's doing this. And Laszlo used to tell me, no, I was helping my student. I was helping my friend. He didn't know how to do it. So I helped him, Daddy. I swear. I didn't do anything. I didn't even do anything. That's his favorite line. I didn't even do anything. Like, it's like, I was helping such and such to help him get his work done. And that's exactly how he operates. He's willing to help anybody no matter what. And he's willing to put himself out harm's way to actually help somebody. So, I realized that, that school wasn't for Laszlo, so I had to move him to another school. Then that school accused him of a Me Too movement because he didn't want to be in a Romeo and Juliet play at the age of 5 and 6.
I'll still never get over that.
I know. That's sad. That's like so freaking sad. Like Romeo and wait, why are you doing first off, why are you doing Romeo and Juliet for kindergarten or first graders? First off. That sounds like some perverted shit that you got these kids doing. First off, but it's perfectly fine when female teachers can do this shit. But if male teachers do this shit, we be trying to hang them. We be trying to hang them on a cross. Let's just keep it 100. It's just facts. But it's perfectly fine when females can actually pull this shit off because she doesn't mean anything bad by that. Oh yes, she does. Little pervert. It's like, just stuff like that, and it's like, it's sad when kids get caught up in this stuff, especially male children. Get caught up in this stuff.
I just didn't know what to like. Yeah, I mean, you could have said I grew up into something that's similar to that, but it's like no one knows what it's like to be a guy going through that. Like it's literally the worst path possible thing you could fathom because you're like, am I guilty of something? Did I do something wrong? And it's like somebody should have told you whenever you go into. Anytime you leave your home, it's like there's all sorts of like threats and stuff that are gonna make you feel like
definitely.
You're wrong, or people are trying to basically tell you that you gotta capitulate. And if you don't capitulate, they're basically saying like, "Oh, you're hurt, or you have to cope, or you're
shaming, or you're coping, or you're this, or you're
committing
that." Like
a crime now. It's even common to see people try to get cops involved for something that's just like a civil affair between two adults. Like you parked in my spot or something.
He called me fat.
He called me fat.
So you called the cops on him? Really?
Or
because he called you fat?
Yeah.
Did he hit you?
Did
he
he
beat
profiled me?
Like, come on now. My favorite is the one with the one video with the Chinese lady saying she's calling the cops and she followed this black guy for about a mile, harassing him the whole entire time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's ridiculous nowadays but that is really what you get when you mix up all of this basically a bunch of different cultures, all who have different backgrounds and ways of like relating with each other. And then somebody stares a little bit too long, and then that person gets offended, and then all of a sudden there's like a ensuing battle that just is so unnecessary, all because there's like people are too open, I think.
But you want to know the funny thing to that story? But the Asian lady that followed the guy, the only reason why she was so upset is because she was interested in him and he ignored her. Let that sink in. She was interested in him and he ignored her and ignored her advances, so she felt some type of way, and that's why she's acting like a fool on the camera in that video. because she basically wanted his number and she wanted to date him. Basically, this is the world we live in today. This is the world we live in today.
Yeah, you can't even prove any of that, but it's like you just because somebody's ignoring you, you're just like, oh, I need to escalate this.
I gotta make my scene. I gotta make this scene. I gotta make this scene so I can get his attention. And the sad part about that is he literally showed a clip where they're exchanging numbers after the whole entire thing was done and over with. Like, so she followed you, berating you, calling you names, calling out your name, calling you the N-word, all that to get your number all that to get your attention to get your number. What world are we living in for this to be a thing? How is that even a thing? Like, legit, like, think about that shit. She called you out your name. She followed you, called you out your name, berated you, hit you.
Definitely looks more cringy than it does on the inside.
Accused you of hitting her, all that at the end, just so she could exchange her number with you. It's like, these are the type of women that always cry about where have all the good men gone.
Like, so just not a conviction. I can't handle being arrested, or I really can't handle spending money on a date, because if I have to spend money, then the next guy has to spend money on that same thing that I used, and the next guy has to spend money, and the next guy has to spend money, and the next guy has to spend money, and then all of a sudden you're just basically I'm just emptying guys' pockets every time I do that.
Yeah, true for the most part. Because at the end of the day, once you think about it, if you have to pay for a woman's date because she got all dressed and took the time to get pretty and look for you, at the end of the day, she should do that for herself. She shouldn't do that for you. She should do it for herself so she can make herself feel better about herself. That's my honest opinion on that when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I'd spend my time before a date doing whatever I do just because for me, I'm not thinking. The only time I really give is when I'm actually at the date. I don't consider the time before the date or after the date to be tied to the date. It's just a date to me,
Yeah.
And by dating, we obviously mean,
because
I'm trying to bring her. I'm trying to bed her that night.
Yeah, and the sad part about that, the whole entire thing, the whole entire concept of how women believe that they should be paid for is, if a man has to pay for you based on the fact that you took time to get ready and look good, then you're pretty much nothing more than an escort service.
Yep.
If that's the case,
I mean, at that point,
you're pretty much nothing more than an escort service.
How many times have you been vetted before?
Yeah, like for real. Think about that. Like, and I look at it like this. Look,
just because she doesn't know the brothel that she works for doesn't mean she's not employed.
Right? My point exactly. For the most part, good one, Yam. Yeah, just because she doesn't know what brothel she's working for, just because she doesn't know her pimp now, who's to say? Right? Just because she don't know her pimp now, who's to say she ain't gonna have a pimp later?
Wisery. This kid is wise beyond his years.
Yeah, I'm serious. Like, yeah, that was some profound shit right there.
Right, bro.
And the sad part about it is,
write
like,
that one down. Write that one down, yeah.
You definitely got to write that one down.
What do you think I was just doing?
Right next to attention, definitely.
Yeah, for real. But like, and it's just stuff like that just makes it so funny. Like, and the sad part about it is what they discount is the fact that, yeah, the sad part about that, what they fail to realize and what they discount is the fact that while all these women were doing all this stuff, what the hell do you think the man was doing before the date? Think about that. Like,
y'all don't want to know what I was doing before the date.
Oh, good Lord. No, I mean, financially, he basically did the same thing. If not, he probably spent more money for this date than you did altogether.
Oh yeah, no.
And that's a fact.
That is a fact.
He spent more date to prepare for this date than you ever did to come to the date, and it's just facts.
I had to get insurance on my car. This is all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I had to pay for insurance to pick you up. I had to clean the car. I had to get the car detailed. I had to get the oil changed. I had to get a haircut. I had to buy nice pants. I had to buy these shoes. I had to get all this stuff. I had to spend the gas to go to all these places. Now I'm spending gas to come pick you up. Now I'm about to pay for a dinner at a restaurant that I really don't want to go to because you wanted to go there because you're selfish and you want to feel special.
What about
I
the
mean,
cell
think about
phone
that
you
shit.
gotta text back and forth and
Oh,
call
the cell phone bill I got to do the texting on. Oh yeah, definitely,
Telling you,
definitely.
man.
Think about
It
that
adds
shit.
up. Shit adds up, man.
Yeah, the sad part about that, the car alone costs more than what you did for your whole entire day.
Fuck. You know what? Now that I realize that, that's absolutely true. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Mind
like me,
blown.
for me to maintain my vehicle costs more than what you did for your hair and all that dress and all that other stupid shit you got going on, all that makeup you got
Yeah,
going
she
on.
thinks
Because at
that
the end of the day,
the
you
car
still look like a fucking
the car
clown to me.
literally just
Right.
appears along with you and flowers outside of her door at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
For absolutely free. And
Yeah, I
she
know.
actually puts in $50 worth of makeup. So that means she is in the right. She's in the green, which means you need to bring, and then paying for the date's not enough. You also have to, hold the door open, let her walk through and then follow her through and then,
Damn.
pull the seat out for her, listen to her talk about, God knows what.
Listen to her dump.
And that costs
And the sad part
nothing.
about that is
costs
listen to her dump
absolutely
all her
nothing.
emotional baggage on you too.
Dump
Think
all
about
the
that.
yeah.
And the sad part about it is I might be a psychologist, but I'm not getting paid to listen to you, lady.
Yes.
I'm just being honest. I'm not getting paid because I value my time more than I value your time. Because I look at it like this. It's
Brutal.
kind of like the one lady that asked me to walk her to her car.
He wants me to go out and feign romantic love, then she's going to have to pay me.
Yeah, it's basically like that one white lady that asked me to walk her to her car because she heard I work for a security firm.
You know what?
Bitch, do you know how much they pay me an hour? I'm going to need you to pay me the same damn thing if you want me to walk you to your car. I don't like you like that.
Just as with the marriage apocalypse, the whole dating apocalypse, like nobody goes out on Valentine's Day anymore, that whole thing going on, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I bet you. Same time next year, same market to the day, all right?
Mm-hmm.
I bet you there's going to be Deuce Bigelows all over the freaking.
Oh my
Probably
gosh.
watch. Bet you any money he had room to bunch of Deuce Bigelows all over the place.
That's what I've been thinking about, man. Like, because you got
Dude, that's what I've been thinking about too. I'm like,
and
wait a minute,
like,
I can make money off this shit.
Right?
Yeah. I'm not going to say anymore because we got to monetize this idea.
Right?
Yeah.
Monetize our assets.
What was that movie?
European Gigolo?
No. Nothing bad.
Yeah, true story on that one. MGTOW for Reds.
The guys with the shields.
Guys with the shields.
They were men in tights essentially. They're a bunch of guys.
300?
Yes, the 300. That one. You know what? We might as
I thought you were talking about Robin Hood. I thought you were talking about Robin Hood Men in Tights. The spoof for Robin Hood.
Well, I mean,
it's like, wait,
it's
what?
a placeholder for a lot of movies now.
Have you seen
actually,
that movie 300?
This day and age.
Have you seen that 300 movie?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
more like 2000, but we'll run with this.
You're right, exactly. So, on face value, you look at it. Okay, another movie. Oh yeah, look at that. They're portraying all the heroes with the chiseled abs and everything like that. But here's the thing. This is this age's Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
So the 300, like all we got to do is set up a business name, the 300. Use the shield. Shield wall is strong.
Good lord! No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'm definitely charging $300 for any date with me. That's maybe for the.
I'm sorry. If we're going out on a date, you got to pay me.
You
got to pay me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you got to make me think the way that I think a woman should think. Like, wow, she paid for the car insurance. She paid for the gas. She did this. She did that.
Because my thoughts on that whole entire thing is like, look, sorry,
gentlemen, you're the prize.
I only do what you deserve. What I assess your value at. So if I'm not holding the door for you, then I don't deem you as a woman or a lady. If I don't pull out your chair for you, I don't deem you as a lady. 9 times out of 10, matter of fact, 10 out of 10 times, if I don't do none of that shit, I'm not going to call you after this date. I will finish this date, but I'm not going to call you after this date. That's exactly how I operate.
It's funny how we keep mentioning the same thing, holding the door, right? Because Yam mentioned it like about 5 or 10 minutes ago.
Oh, that
Yeah.
goes
You're
very
menching
deep
it.
and esoteric for me. Like I'm talking
So
about all different kinds of you
no,
it
I
just
know.
initiating anything. It
But that's
always
like
has
the
to be
most basic
us.
thing. That has to be the most
If
basic
something
thing.
happens in the garage, go look, go check on it. If them,
Right.
you know, if
But
they're yeah.
I'm saying just
50
use the
50
example.
relationship, you better grab your gun and go check on it. Oh, you don't got one? Well, grab something
Right.
and go check on it.
Exactly. So
Here, take my gun. Go
use that
check on
as
it.
Flash the
use that as
robber
an
to give me
example
enough time. You
baseline.
distract him, and I'll beat his ass.
Use that as an example baseline, and essentially, you think about it. They start there. They always start there at that lowest level.
Yeah. True story.
Just saying.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Who starts at what lowest level? I'm
Women.
sorry, I wasn't. Oh, yeah. In terms of the door.
Right.
But then you have on the main when women flock to the mainstream media recently, and then basically have been claiming that they're dating down, which I still wouldn't like. You'd
No.
have to tell me which
Here's
relationship
the
it
thing.
is that you consider
You
it
can't.
that, and I will have to look at that from my
No.
perspective and deem.
Analyze dating down first of all. All right.
Yeah, because I don't really get it the way that a lot like the mainstream media describes it. Because I don't. Is it the fact that they make more money, or is it the fact that they view
That's
themselves as higher
that's what it's
status, or
been.
like what?
That's what it's been dumbed down to. But that's not what it really
Uh-huh.
means. All right. So remember how
I
I
didn't think so.
described in the past the 3 levels
Uh-huh.
of society.
Hmm.
So if you're on a top tier level, you don't want to dumb down to tier, tier number 2. Or
Yeah.
if you're in tier number 2, you don't want to trickle down to tier number 1.
Right.
For the most
So-
part, I'm in between tier 1 and tier 2 for the most part. So I'm
Right.
going to date somebody who is actually either on my level or in between or on my level for the most part. In between those 2 levels or on my level.
Right.
Because I have the ability to do that.
So just so we're clear, so there are different, obviously, as we've learned from this live stream, there are different tiers of individuals, right? Different tiers of men, different tier. Well, are there different tiers of women?
Well, the problem is though there is, but women believe that they're in the top tier all the time.
Right.
Well, yeah, they're either all a part of, they're all together, the same and one and the same.
Well,
And beauty is like
let me
not
go into
just skin deep.
let me go into an explanation as to what I mean by this, okay? So, you've heard of the caste system in India, right?
Mhm.
I'm not going
Uh-huh,
to get into
uh-huh.
that, but think of it something like that, but 3 tiers. So just basic. There's more tiers, obviously. There's 1.5, 2.5, blah blah blah. We've already discussed. There's 3 inside of each tier, so there's altogether 9 tiers. But
Well, there's 3 tiers. There's three brackets in each tier for the most part, is what he's saying.
Right. So just take a step back from that whole system, and just realize that when you see someone, say, working at a McDonald's or something like that, okay, so forget about where they live or anything like that, because there's always going to be anomalies. Yes. Okay, so somebody's down on their luck. They're going to go work at McDonald's, but they still live in this humongous house, blah, 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 great neighborhood. Or they're the kid of someone who's got a lot of money, and the person mandated. So we're not talking about those, tertiary level people that work at the McDonald's, the ones that have to be there because they need food on the fucking table. All right, You're working at McDonald's. That person right there would never, ever be able to find someone on a certain level on a different tier. Normally, unless they cross paths inside of that restaurant.
Yeah.
Because you're not in the same friend circles. You're not in the same social situations. You're not shopping at the same restaurants. You're not
or the
shopping
same
the same clothing.
Right. You're not wearing the same kind of clothing. You don't, talk the same way. You don't have the same likes, you don't have the same similarities and that sort of thing. So, this is where people get it wrong. It's not that you have nothing in common. It's that you have absolutely nothing in common.
Yeah, literally. And the
Got
sad
it.
part about that is only a chance. It's only a chance encounter that person actually shows up at a McDonald's for the most part. Let alone
Precisely.
Yeah,
actually
and you
driving
happen
through
to
the
meet them.
drive-through for the most part.
Yeah,
Because 9 times out of 10, they
unless
don't
you're
got the
part
time
Dude,
to
of
be bothered
Mensa.
with that.
But
precisely.
if you're part of Mensa, then you probably aren't working at McDonald's.
And yeah, no.
Fun fact.
Unless
I mean,
no, no,
unless you're
no.
like a kid,
Unless you want to. Unless you
unless
want
you
to.
want
Unless
to,
you
yeah.
want, yeah,
Unless
unless
you're
you
a kid,
choose to.
unless you're like one of the kids from Mensa. Yeah, I can see that then. But 9 times out of 10, you probably work for like as a tutor, or you work as like an assistant teacher, or what they call teacher's assistant, or you pretty much do
TA.
something like like a good example of that is me working at a library. Is a good example of that
Yeah,
because I actually worked
yeah,
at
like
libraries most of my life.
Right.
yeah, like because you can just chill and like post up in the library. It's not really. It's a
So,
pretty chill job.
so just
I
to
worked at a
expand the
couple.
thought, just to expand the thought as to why, it's absolutely impractical to let a woman decide on a relationship, whether it be on or off,
Hmm.
and not to compare anyone to women or anything like that here, but I'll give you a prime example.
Don't leave it alone. I
Damn
knew
it.
what you were going to say.
Damn it.
Pick a different one.
Damn it, Tico.
Pick a
Damn
different
it, Tico.
excuse. Gotta put my foot down this time.
Fine,
These insults are getting out of
fine.
hand.
All right,
These
fine.
insults
All
are getting
right,
out
all
of
right,
hand.
All right, apologize culture. Okay, now Double I has to go on 8 different live streams and apologize.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have to do all that. We ain't doing all
No,
that. It's
I
not
don't.
about that. We ain't about that life.
No.
No.
Different. Use a different
I
analogy
was
there, Double I.
trolling.
You're smart enough
Okay,
to use a
fine.
different analogy. I trust you. That's why I have you on the live
Fine.
stream.
Trolling.
Fine. No insults. I get it.
Double no psyche do not.
Damn,
Do
I was
not,
honed in too.
Yeah, I know you were.
encourage.
I go,
Stand down,
shit.
boy. Stand down. All right.
You didn't think we heard on the microphone the rack the gun, rack the handle.
you heard the armament?
Yeah,
Kind of like when I went in on the teachers on the education when I went in like
Use
y'all
her
just
shell
heard me.
dropping and shit in the
Damn, I
catcher.
thought I was running silent for a while, man.
Yeah, like,
I was
nah.
running silent and good.
Yeah, you had to catch her. You had to catch her to mask the bullets from falling, but we heard the gun click.
What gave it away? Was it the fish? Was it the sharks? What does it? It was one of my sharks stole on me, didn't he?
Goodness
It was one of the
gracious.
sharks.
It was the aquarium. The aquarium insert. That's what
Listen to
gave it
Psycho.
away.
Do it. It's like, I love Psycho. Do it.
No, it's like I'm gonna
He said,
respect the
"Drag
rules.
him."
I'm gonna respect the
Gotta
rules.
Goodness gracious.
Oh man.
Because he hasn't posted a comment in a while, so I don't think he's here to defend himself. So pick something else.
Yeah. Fine. I don't watch the comments.
I am, unfortunately, to save your ass from breaking all rules.
Damn it. I thought I slipped you enough.
Because the funny thing about that is when you were actually saying that, when you were about to say that, Kieran was looking at the comment section and she looked at me. She did the neck thing where she goes, no.
Stop him now.
Nope.
Stop him
now. Nope, he's done.
He's got the sniper rifle. He's got aimed. His fingers on the trigger.
Like she was looking at the comment section. She looked at me and she went like, she did that. You know the little neck thing where you shake your head and you the neck thing under your neck. Like nope, don't do it.
Nope.
Don't take the shot.
Not clear.
Yeah, Kieran gave me the heads up on that one.
It's a dirty shot. It's a dirty
Senator
shot.
Palpatine.
Don't take it.
Yeah, Kieran gave me the heads up on that one.
Thank you, Kieran.
Do it.
Oh, goodness.
The
Goodness gracious.
dark
Too
side
funny.
will make you stronger.
He's doing another one. He's
I know, right?
Palpatine now.
Uh-huh.
Are you
But
Palpatine or are you...
finish with a different analogy. They're double I.
No,
I
I don't want to. I'm not going to disgrace it with a better one or a different one. Yeah,
You might as well just let it go.
No,
Yeah,
no,
might as well
no,
explain
no.
it.
Nope. I'm just gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go.
It's like, you could
I'll
explain it
I'll
without
let
that.
whoever
Basically,
wants
what he
to
was saying,
rewind.
basically what he was trying to say before I stopped him on his insult was letting a woman decide a relationship on and off is basically a bad move for the most part. Like
It
a
is.
woman,
Well, it's
don't get me
equivalent
wrong,
to
women
being
deserve
up in the
autonomy,
wind, you know.
but there's certain things
Right.
that women can and cannot do autonomously and make like proper
It's a
decisions.
risk.
It's a
Because
risk. They
It's
run a
a
high
risk.
risk of
It's
that
just a
basically,
risk. Yeah, it's just a
because
risk.
it's kind of like
Look at it this way.
the base
All
nature
right,
of that
fine.
is
I'll
like
finish.
when I was talking
I'll finish.
about.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me finish. Okay, so look at it hypergamy, right? So you'd monkey branching and things like that. So if they go on a monkey branching kick, the ones below hypergamy, monkey branching, they have to go up somehow.
They either have to
They're
go
not going
up
to
or
be
go
able
to the
to.
side. They'll never go down.
Right, they'll never go down. But by their nature, they have to climb up. And when they're climbing up, they look around. And in that looking around, they're looking for the best person. They're looking for the best person. They're not looking for a higher class. They're looking for the best person. There's a difference.
Yeah.
That's
So
what double. I just to butt in right there. That's what women consider sexual harassment is the ability to be climbing up and seeing everything around them. That's essentially sexual harassment. Because
right,
if a guy at work essentially like brings that woman up, then and becomes develops a relationship with her, he's essentially getting to see all
Yeah.
there is to see and experience in the company for the most part because she's dating
precisely.
the head, for example. It's just like, but then being given the chance to
See
understand
you, McDowell
a
Threads.
male
Or
authority,
who's leaving?
yeah,
See you, man.
is sexual harassment. Yeah, it's sexual harassment. So
Yeah, it's definitely sexual harassment once you think about it. It's because like by their standards, that would be sexual harassment. And it's sad, but it's so true. But like the thing
true.
about letting women make decisions is like if you ever went shopping with a woman, or if you ever tried to go out eating with a woman, and you have to pick the restaurant, she goes, no, no. Where do you want to go then? I don't know. Really? Really? We're going back home. Oh, what? No, no, no. If you
You
can't
know,
decide, we're going back home. Fuck this shit. Like, ain't nobody got
the
time for you
best
sitting in the car looking stupid.
the best example is that movie Pretty Woman with Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
Is that the one? You know
Yeah,
how
pretty woman.
so she's a hooker, right? So she's the bottom of the barrel. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah,
If
she
you're a
is the bottom of
hooker,
the barrel.
if you're a hooker, you're a piece of shit on the bottom of the barrel. Because
If you're a
why?
stripper, the
You
same
can't.
thing.
Exactly. Be either you're run through or you're going to get run through. And if you don't stop yourself from being run through, you're a hooker and you're a piece of shit. Period.
Yeah.
You might say, okay, my best friend's a hooker. She works her
Anyone who
ass
thinks
off.
that it's okay to charge somebody
Yeah, she literally
to
works
take
her
off
ass
your
off.
clothes,
She need
then
to
you need to
figure. She
charge
need to figure out
somebody
a
to
better
take
way
off
to
your
get money,
clothes.
though.
I'm sorry
Precisely.
to
You
tell
figure out a
you,
better way to make money. So,
but yeah,
okay. So that's how I feel on hookers, right? So if you if you take Julia Roberts, who's a hooker in that movie, and then what was the other guy? What was he in the movie?
He was a businessman. He was a high-powered businessman.
They didn't exactly
ooh,
say what he did, but he had control and power,
Yeah.
which they represented in the different places that they went, how he treated the hotel staff, and how much his money meant to them and everything like that.
Mhm.
So it was obviously that this guy's upper crust, right?
Mhm.
So maybe they want to portray him as a third level, but I want to tell you that no, that's not what a third level person looks like. That guy was more level two,
yeah,
but a
that's actually. Oh,
level
what were
two
you
in the
gonna say?
middle. Level
Or
two.
level
Yeah, yeah,
two, or upper
totally.
level two.
I wouldn't say upper
Yeah,
level two because he was still making decisions and he's still on the ground. He didn't have people in front of him. So
Mm.
I would say more or less an upper level two because, he didn't meet that, upper echelon of what do you call it? Personal assistant, essentially.
Oh. Well, yeah,
There's
true.
there's difference.
Yeah, he didn't. He had the money, but he didn't have the staff to actually show for the most part.
Right, exactly. So he didn't have a thing in place. And if he had that framework in place, that would be a little higher up in the food chain. So
Yeah.
let's just call him a number two solid because he's a 2-2,
I mean the
right?
Mhm.
actor himself might have been something above level two, but the character portrayed,
No,
yes,
no, no,
definitely.
no, no. The actor himself was nothing more than a level 1-3.
Oh,
Yeah, the
got
actor
it. Got it.
himself.
I get
Yeah.
it. Mhm.
Yeah, the actor
But
himself was nothing
the actual character was a 2-2.
correct, a 2-2, because none of them have any idea what a one. I'm sorry, a 3-3 would, or even a 3-1 would be, right?
Yeah.
All right. So going back to the story, so we're dealing with Julia Roberts, the hooker, at a 1-1, and this guy at a 2-2. So they meet by chance, whatever that chance was. And I don't know the full details of the movie, but the gist of it was when he took her out a couple of times, before he takes her out, he basically says, well, you can't wear that, but he doesn't say, his staff does, the quasi hotel staff, right? So they dress her up for him. They put her in a
For the most part,
different
yeah, they say it.
stature than where she was. So
Yeah.
that's a complete full frontal telling you that this is the difference between a 1-1 and a 2-2.
Yeah.
But he wasn't even trying to make her into a 2-2. He was trying to dress her like a 2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then it can like
Richard
kind
Gere
of make
played that part. He
people.
said Richard Gere.
Richard Gere, yes, thank
Richard.
you.
Oh, that's
Thank
okay.
you.
There we go. That's the guy's name.
Excellent actor, by the way. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah,
Like something that a lot of people actually don't know is always how I was talking about the Mensa thing. Mensa only really dates Mensa. And I know I'm going to get this question because I know somebody's already forming it in their mind. And yes, the Cartel Princess is actually registered at Mensa before somebody even asks.
Well,
So yeah, I
sounds
literally
good.
confirmed that Mensa only dates Mensa. Matter of fact, all my siblings are actually registered at Mensa, and all their significant others are actually registered at Mensa also. To give you a just to that. Matter of fact, my grandfather and my grandmother, dad's side, were all registered at Mensa too. So it's pretty much a family affair over at Mensa. It's a family affair.
I think we're thinking about two different songs.
I know, right? I know we are. You're thinking about the one from Mary J. Blige.
Yeah, I just like the beat of that one.
I like the old school one. I'm sorry, I'm old school like that. They
Yeah,
call
the
me
old
old
school
school.
one is better.
They call me old
I'm
school.
just saying I like the beat of Mary J's version.
Yeah, I know. I like that one too. But yeah, it is what it is. But the Cartel Princess is registered at Mensa, which is actually pretty cool and funny. Because I know somebody's going to ask that because I said that in a live stream about Mensa only dates Mensa, or Mensa only dates people who can actually possibly register as a Mensa qualifier, basically. Just to get that out the way, because I already know somebody's going to ask. So somebody asks, you hear somebody ask, tell them to go to 3 hours and 3 hour 31 minute mark.
Go fish.
But yeah, it is what it is. But dang, this went on a lot longer than I thought it was going to go on. Yeah, we just kept going. But yeah,
yeah, we did. This is pretty. This is turned into a long stream.
Yeah, it has.
Yes, it has.
I don't know if I want to end it and restart it again as like no aux shit now. Or...
Yeah, let's like
or table flip or something now, like
I don't know. I'm thinking about cooking dinner.
Yeah, me too.
Which
yeah, I'm gonna
not
get
to
Juba,
not to be shamelessly plugging my other channel, but hey, if anybody wants to figure out how to cook a quick, healthy dinner, go to my site, Lost Dad, and I prepare a quick Indian dish that you can easily purchase at your local Indian store.
Yeah, so definitely go check out Indian Dad. I mean, damn, Lost Dad. That's an Indian Dad.
Indian Dad, come on.
Lost Dad. Lost Dad's good channel today.
Lost
Yeah, I was actually watching it.
Lost Indian is the saddest iteration. What would that be? It would be
Lost Indian. That's horrible.
Yeah, that would be.
I said Lost. I said.
If all
I
else
did say
fails,
Lost Indian.
change your name to that, and
I did say
that'll
Lost
probably
Indian.
become viral or something.
Right. Well, yeah, somebody's gonna be looking for that channel. Watch it end up being like an actual Indian that's lost in the middle of nowhere.
Right. Like I
I
only
think
have
I'm
YouTube.
gonna
I have
broadcast
nothing
tonight
else.
too.
I need your help to
If you go,
find civilization.
Right.
if you go
He'll
if you
get a
go
he'll
to
get a flux of
Jambi,
he'll get a flux of viewers now that I said that. It's like my
if you
Like
go
sword
to
gets
and
lit up quite
subscribe.
Jambi,
often.
we're gonna be we'll be trying to rebuild the last city on Earth in what's it called, Frostpunk. So I'm gonna
Oh,
be
good Lord.
I'm be using this live stream to inform my gaming, to be more forward minded. You think I should make my patrons? You think that I should make them follow order or faith? Which one's your guys' decision? I'm gonna let you guys decide.
Hmm.
What?
Order or
Why?
faith?
No.
Because
Neither.
This guy, you know what he sounds like?
Dictator? Much?
Yeah, I was thinking Hitler at a very young age.
All right.
no,
He's
that's
gonna be
the
the
thing in
Filipino.
the
I didn't
game. You're
see this
supposed to pick
coming.
a fatal
I
flaw.
He's gonna be the
this is
Filipino
The
like
fatal
Hitler.
flaw
Like,
either
left
has
field.
to be
Yeah,
order
right.
yeah,
or faith.
literally.
Where the hell, man? You got a little
I don't
dictator
even
in
know
you,
you
don't you?
anymore. Who are
Yeah, I
you?
know.
Who made
He's
you?
all
Who
different.
raised you?
Damn.
Who
God.
raised you?
Let's back up a bit. What
For
happened,
real.
Yam?
I'm serious. He done turned into
Is it because
dictator
I
Yam
took
and
your
shit.
segue away? Is it
I'm
because of the
serious.
segue?
Damn.
I'm
What
just
was it?
abusing a little bit of power. That's all. We all
Damn.
deserve it. We all deserve a little bit, you know.
Oh
You know,
my
you know
goodness.
what? You know what I equate this to? I see this in, Street Fighter terms. I see Ken just come in out of nowhere doing the helicopter kick.
Right?
This is what I
Yeah,
make.
literally.
Boom.
Literally.
Yeah, or I'm a what's his name, the sumo guy, and just my hands turn into
Lord.
1,000
Yes.
hands.
1,000 hands. There you go.
Y'all are a trip.
1,000 hands. Well, yep. So that's gonna get done. If you guys want to watch it, tune in. Gaslight me.
Oh yeah.
I'll be down.
But we're gonna end this stream because it's been going on long enough, and we all got things to do, like cook some dinner and read some bedtime stories and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, but y'all have a good night. Anybody want to do? Y'all want to do y'all closing?
Have a great day, guys. Thanks for listening to Tech Sessions with Tico and with Yam and I, and we're just trying to help out in any way to help your security and that sort of thing. So if you guys want to see certain things on there, let me know. If you missed a session, rewind it and listen to it. That's only
Yeah,
gonna be
the
on
tech
this
session
channel.
was actually after the 40-minute mark.
Right.
To be
And that's
exact.
only going to be for this channel. I'm not going to be doing those sessions for anywhere else or anything like that. I don't make any money on her or anything like that. I'm not looking for funds. I just want to make sure you guys protect your identities and go through life in a protected manner.
That's always respectable and good. And very commendable. You, Yam, go ahead.
I'm Yam. Have a good day, guys. Wherever you are, just be mindful. And hit me up on Discord if you want to chat, or tune into my live streams whenever I have them.
Reasonable. And this is Tico. Y'all have a good night and be blessed, and always help your fellow man, and protect yourselves both electronically, physically, and mentally for the most part from haters.
Mm-hmm. Peace.
Peace. Good night, everybody.
Peace.